Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Casual AF, the gaming stream so casual that 95% of the time, not only do I not start a video game, we don't even talk about games of any kind, except lately we've been talking about tabletop RPGs because you've been crushing it, Craig. Craig, co-host, how are you?
I'm good, but my house stinks. My puppies made
Oh,
the
no.
mistake of taking on a skunk in my backyard, and they both took a mouthful of musk, and now my
Ugh.
house smells like fucking skunk. My dogs don't smell like skunk. It's just every soft surface in the house, every permeable surface. Excuse me, I'm dying tonight. Every permeable surface seems to have that musky scent embedded in it. And I've used the Febreze. I vacuumed it as much as I could. I washed what I could, but I think the funk is just going to stick around for a little while. And all there is to it. But yeah, otherwise I'm doing all right.
Good. Side note, I looked at it and it just came to mind. Normally, I buy my lighters in that like 5-pack from one of the big superstores, like a Walmart or something,
Yeah,
just to keep them cheap, right? Like
yeah.
I'm always Bic, but always the plain old pack. But I saw this one at somewhere just on the shelf staring at me. It's literally 30 years since the guy died. And I pull it out of my pocket and it just makes me so happy every time I look at it.
Nirvana, nice.
Yeah, like I pull it out of my pocket like Sarah. I'm like, oh,
Did you see this one? Did you see? Is this from your like an old one you found, or is this one that you
no,
saw
at the
at the store?
store of all
Oh,
places. Yeah,
nice.
just on like convenience store, just out, like impulse buy on the rack. There's Maple Leafs this and
Yeah.
fucking modern whatever stuff I don't even look at, and somehow it was just looking at me right at the front, just that dead smiley face, and I was just like, oh. And every time I pull it out of my pocket, it's like, oh. It's strange how the little things in life can just make you happy. Yeah.
Speaking of
So
Nirvana, the Buddha. The Buddha walks up to a hot dog vendor and says, "Make me one with everything." The hot dog vendor hands them a hot dog, and the Buddha gives him a $10 bill. And then Buddha waits for a few seconds and says, "Where's my change?" And the hot dog vendor says, "Change comes from within." Who knew a hot dog vendor was so smart?
it's a beautiful joke. It
It's
really like
not bad. It's pretty good.
it's perfect.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail your Nirvana.
No, it's all good. No, I mean,
It's just it was
strange how we were talking about that joke and then managed to flow into it. I had no idea. Like, it didn't even occur to me.
Excuse me, 1 second.
Jesus. Take an allergy pill or something. I've actually found that, yeah, that the allergy pill seems to help, and my cough is almost gone. So let's change the banner. Let's get into it. If you saw the thumbnail, I made it back to the gym this week.
Your family didn't die and you're not gay.
That's right. Yeah, no, I repped it, buddy. I repped it.
Good for
So
you.
doing okay. Do it like I thought for sure I was gonna lose like all kinds of strength and stuff. A little endurance, and having been out, I am really sore.
Yeah.
But I mean, apparently a 3.5 week, almost 4 week break was not the worst thing in the world.
No.
Uh, so and also I've been really on it since January, I guess, right? Like just
Mhm.
4 to 6 days a week since January. So it's, been pretty dedicated the whole time. Uh, so a deload month.
That's all right.
Some people plan their deload weeks, others have deload weeks thrust upon them. So yeah,
No, but you know what? The thing is, like, in terms of losing strength, it's never lost for long. It doesn't take long for your muscles to get back into it. You know what I mean?
it shouldn't. Like,
You have to be a long time not working out for your muscles to atrophy to the point where, you're basically starting from scratch again,
yeah, and like there is some argument about like even oh, you were athletic as a child all through high school, maybe into your college days, but obviously that falls off a little bit, and you're at doing a desk job. You don't pick up basketball as often
Well,
anymore.
you lose testosterone as you age too, right? So that's
Sure, but just like inactivity for 2 decades after having been athletic,
right.
you go back to the gym 3 to 5 months, you should be seeing some real improvements, right?
Yeah.
Like that muscle memory is real. Ask anyone who plays an instrument or does some other manual skill, right? Like, the way they say, like riding a bike,
Hmm.
you don't forget how to ride a bike, right?
No.
So just takes a little time,
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas
Eh,
I'm the other end. I was never athletic. I just I benefited from being, having a high metabolism when I was younger. When I was a teenager, I was a beanpole. I couldn't put on weight if I wanted to,
mm,
but I wasn't trying to either. As I got older, of course, metabolism slows down to start to put on weight. But I've always been a very unathletic person. So now I'm learning how to use my muscles for the purposes of building strength. Right. I'm still relatively new at it. I've only been at it a year and a bit, 2 years, kind of thing. So yeah. So it's taken me a while to build the muscle, but I am seeing it. I'm not seeing the fat disappear where I want it to, but I think that's because I've been rather undisciplined with my diet of late. I just
that's
basically stopped. I went to keto, and I'm like, well, as long as I know I'm eating fewer carbs, I don't need to count my calories, kind of thing, right? So I stopped counting my calories, stopped using my app to track my food, and I think it was a mistake because I can see that I'm putting fat back on, and I also drifted off of keto. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take a little bit of carbs, and so now I need to go back to keto. I think I need to go back, maybe not like pure keto, but much lower carbs, much more concentration on where I'm getting my carbs. You know what I'm saying?
mm. Costin 6, welcome. Thanks for coming. Uh, like, yeah, carbs aren't in and of themselves like the enemy,
No,
especially if you're trying to put on muscle mass. You
right.
do need to eat them. And something I was thinking about, and I wonder how much it's true. It's all speculation in my head. The farther it is from the ground, the worse it is for you.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that argument.
So, like, you pull a potato out of the ground, it's all carbs,
Yeah.
but you just eat the potato. That's it.
Hmm.
It's fine. Wheat comes out of the ground. You grind it up, you add some water, you turn it into like a flat dough, you cut it into noodles. Wheat, ground, water should be not so bad.
But
But now
it's growing
you
higher than the potato, so it's not as
sure,
good.
sure. But you add eggs and salt and you bake it and you have bread, maybe you're farther than you should be from the ground.
Right.
Right? So, like, the quality of your carbs matters as well as how many of them you're eating, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, before the potato famine, the Irish were the largest people on the planet. They're
Oh, yeah.
men averaging 6 feet 6 inches tall,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they ate a potato-based diet,
Mhm.
right? Like potato and mutton. That was most of what they
Yeah.
ate, and like,
They also lived a very physical lifestyle, right? It's not like
sure,
this 20th and 21st century, right? So,
everyone at the time did, right?
yeah.
More so than we do now. But like, just based on that, the nutrients and health that children were getting was growing them into 6 foot six tall adult men, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
With red
yeah,
hair.
yeah,
That reminds me, we were talking earlier about the Joe Rogan podcast, episode 2219, I think it is, with
oh
Donald
yes,
Trump. When they were talking about the Make America Healthy Again portion of his campaign with RFK Jr., and he showed that chart in terms of,
yeah,
the healthiness and the obesity rates and the life expectancy rates of Americans. And it was like shocking to see. But that's part of it, right? Like the fact is that most of the stuff we eat today is processed. It's bad for you. It's clearly bad for you. And I think, you know what? And I'm not for top-down government, mandates of stuff, but I think it would be very, very smart for a health plan in Canada, the United States, wherever, to simply encourage people to have backyard gardens. Make a garden.
yeah.
Put a garden and get a large portion of your vegetables from your very own soil, because then it's the freshest. You don't have to fucking can it, but you can can it for the winter months if you want.
And you know exactly what's in it to preserve it, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Um,
It also wouldn't be a bad idea for them to say, keep chickens. You realize there'd be no food insecurity if everybody who lived in the suburbs, everybody who had a backyard that could handle it, kept chickens, because everybody would have eggs. Everybody would have access to eggs, and they'd be fresh eggs. They wouldn't need to be refrigerated. They wouldn't need to be pasteurized or anything like that. And people would be healthy. Eggs are like a superfood, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, those two things alone, like if RFK Jr. is part of his administration and he puts those things through, it almost sounds like a first lady kind of proposal. But if he becomes like head of health and human services or whatever, in his what do you call it, his in his office, what do they call it, his cabinet, in his cabinet, and his two things are tax breaks or some property tax breaks for people who have backyard gardens. Set aside a 10 by 10 plot in your backyard and have a garden. No capital gains on local growers, like people who sell locally their produce, kind of thing, right? And then say instruct local governments to remove bylaws restricting people from having chickens in their backyard. I mean, if you have a fenced-in backyard and you can do it and you want to do it, let them do it.
There's more of a problem with chickens, right? It's not just chickens and chicken guano, which is actually can be toxic, even though you can use it as a good fertilizer for your garden, right? That's actually, people don't realize that. Coyotes and foxes, you draw them in with, if even 10% of people had chickens, you'd be overrun with coyotes and foxes.
Well,
you'd be having to, and children would be in trouble. Your pets would be in trouble. But if everyone had a gun,
I'm not saying that everybody who's got a backyard would have a chicken coop. I'm saying that in those areas, like in Burlington, for instance, where I live, you can't keep chickens in your backyard. Below a certain below a certain road, no matter how much land you have and whether or not you can support it, you can't keep chickens. You can only have the only animals you can have are legit pets. What I'm saying is, if they could encourage local governments to remove restrictions so that those people who wanted to keep chickens could keep chickens, food insecurity would go down and health would go up.
Yeah.
By the fact that more people are eating, because you're going to get so many eggs. If you have like a half a dozen chickens and a rooster, you're going to get so many eggs. You're going to have to give them away. And the price of eggs is going to drop. It's going to plummet. And not only that, you're just going to be making more chickens. So when your coop's too big, you can say to your neighbor down the road who also has a half-acre backyard, say, hey, build yourself a coop. I've got some extra chickens. You can have them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, we should encourage people to get their food more locally. And I know this is a deviation from WAGMI, but
no, not really. No, healthy eating is part of we're all going to make it, right? And you'd have to start a whole rooster rotation program,
right,
to make sure you're not inbreeding your chickens and shit.
Yeah, I'm sure most chickens are inbred at this point anyway.
Probably to a degree. I'm sure there's a bottleneck somewhere, but
well, I mean, that's why they're all so retarded. Chickens are pretty fucking dumb.
Sure, but I mean, all of Iceland is inbred, but they function just fine, right?
It's true.
They got an app for it now, and
it's true, they do.
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. But I was thinking about something else, right? Because I've done something. Most people would think it's weird. I think a lot of people think it's weird now. Where's your butter?
Where's my butter?
Yeah.
It's in a little butter container on the counter.
Nice.
Yeah, we don't refrigerate it. It's too hard on it. It's too hard on it. We freeze it when we buy it, and then we thaw it out on the counter when we need it.
I think too many people keep their butter in the fridge,
Yeah, no,
and
you
then
should.
they don't use it for regular stuff like buttering their toast. They go for
Oh yeah,
fucking margarine because margarine comes out of the fridge
margarine's terrible. It's
soft.
so
Yeah,
fucking bad for you. It's so bad for you. You may as well just be fucking eating plastic. It's that bad for you.
and I keep the butter on the counter now, and yeah, like I use it for everything where you might normally think margarine's probably just easier to do, and I
We
think
have
that's like,
margarine, but I seldom ever use it.
yeah, I think that was like sort of like a trick that got played on us. You need to keep your butter in the fridge. It's dairy. No, you don't.
It's
Like
fat.
keep, yeah,
As long as it's not, getting exposed to vermin and, things that are going to cause mold.
yeah, it should be fine,
It should
right?
be
For
fine. And
weeks
you're going
on
to be
end.
using it, and if you're using it every day, you're going to go through it so
Yeah,
quickly. It's not going
yeah,
to turn on you. Fact of the matter is, most margarine is made with rancid oil, and you just don't
yeah.
taste it because they put tons of shit in it. Margarine's terrible. Like anything that's made with like seed oils and stuff like that, it's fucking awful. We cook our eggs. When I fry in ghee, which is just clarified butter, and I butter my toast with butter. Oh, and I've recently started we were at Food Boy the other day, and we picked up some creton. You don't know what creton is? Did I tell you what it is?
Yeah, you mentioned it, but I
It's
forgot
like
it.
it's big in Quebec, but it's like a meat spread. It's basically pork that's been cooked in milk, and it's really really soft and like spreadable. It's like a spreadable Pam, but it has a bit more of a bite to it, like a not a bite, but it's got
It's
a
pate. It's a
it's got a
pork
funky.
pate.
It's like a pate. It's a breakfast pate. You put it on toast. It's fucking awesome. I love it. So, and now that I know I can get it at Farm Boy, fuck, I'm going to be getting it all the time because you can normally only get it in Quebec. Or if you go to Cora's and have breakfast at Cora's, they have one meal where you can get it. But margarine tastes bad. Butter is always better. It's
Yeah,
true, Six. I used to do margarine again because it's simple. I know it's going to
yeah,
be soft. I know it's going to spread easily. But but now when I happen to use it on something, like for instance, if the butter's still cold, Melina's making breakfast and she's like, I use margarine on the toast. It tastes awful now compared to butter.
yeah. Butter something else, man. So
It's like
good.
it's kind of funny. I know it's not really good for you either, but like Diet Cokes, like the zero sugar Cokes
Yeah,
and Pepsis, I drink them now. If I have like a full sugar Pepsi or Coke, it tastes awful. I
yeah.
can't I
Oh
can't
yeah.
drink it. It's like drinking syrup. Don't get me wrong, I like syrup, but fuck, I wouldn't want to drink a glass of it.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I've said this before to people that are, they eat the sugary stuff, and oh, I can't go without a donut in the morning or whatever that dessert after dinner.
Yeah,
It doesn't take long. It takes about 2 weeks for your
true.
palate to adjust, and suddenly you put sugar in your coffee again, and it's like drinking candy.
Yeah,
Like your
and
palate rebels.
and here's the thing. I watched Tom DeLauer. Like, you ever watch Tom DeLauer's videos?
No.
He's like a nutritionist. He does a lot of stuff where he's just talking about studies that have come out about certain foods and certain things. He doesn't do the exercise stuff. He does mainly nutrition and different studies that they've done on food. And he basically was saying, like, a lot of the zero calorie sweeteners, like xylitol that you find in like um, Splenda and shit like that,
Right.
they're not really good for you because they can still cause an insulin response.
Hmm.
It's not like sugar, like it isn't sugar, but it can trick your what do you call it? Your endocrine system to do insulin spike. Boom, there's something sweet. Insulin spike. Things like erythritol, stevia, monk fruit sugar. Those things don't do that, and they're sweet. They do have a slightly different taste. Like monk fruit sugar tastes good. It tastes like sugar. It's as sweet as sugar, but it almost has like a cold taste to it. Like it's almost like you're tasting something frosty. It's weird. Um, I've since been using because it turns out maple syrup is actually one of the best natural sugars you can take. So when I do my coffee in the morning, because I don't take cream with it, black with a tablespoon or the teaspoon, sorry, of maple syrup, and it's fucking perfect. It's perfectly sweet,
Nice.
and it's like I know that it's not bad for me, or as bad for me, I should say.
Yeah. I wonder if like honey, it might have a
Honey's good too. Yeah, honey's really good.
but honey has an enzyme in it
Mhm.
that tricks your systems into not responding to the sugar.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't have the spike and crash thing with like you do with eating other sugary stuff. So I wonder if maple syrup has something similar in it.
Yeah, it could
Because it
be.
is like just tree blood that you boiled down a bit.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it yeah, if you're gonna think about it, it is the transport liquid for nutrients and food for the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We literally just stab a tree and hang a bucket on it.
it's true. Because
Just
it only bleeds in the spring for some reason.
and I too don't mind a slightly green banana, like where it's still green on the bendy corners and nice and yellow everywhere else. It's like, oh yeah, that's right.
No, not me. I mean, I can eat it like that, but my preference is when it starts to freckle a little bit. I want it full on yellow with a bit of freckling, and that's when it's
Yeah,
perfect for me.
there's some flavors there that are enjoyable, but I, if you get it just a hair late and it's too squishy, I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, no, then you put it in the freezer, and then you take it out a month later, and you make some banana bread with it. You hate banana bread, don't you?
Yeah, I'm not.
Fucking
So
love it.
banana and raisin, I enjoy eating on their own.
But you don't like them in shit.
Exactly. Their
Yeah.
flavors and aromas are too distinct and pungent to
Yeah. You know
blend
what's
with other
funny?
things.
You and my friend, my feminist friend, who, I constantly jab on, you and her are
Yeah.
very similar in your tastes. You both feel the same way about the conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Gaza. You hope you both hope that they both get exactly what they want. And she hates raisins as well, but I think she hates them like even just snacking on them. She doesn't like
Oh
raisins in
no.
things, and she doesn't like raisins in general. I'm like, what are you talking about? Raisins are like nature's candy. Like raisins are great. Like I fucking love raisins. They're chewy, they're sweet. I don't know if they're necessarily good for you, but they're not as bad for you as eating like fucking gummy worms.
That's
You know
true.
what I mean?
I I think I have to blame my wildly sensitive sense of smell.
Is that it?
Possible. Like I've told you stories. People don't believe
Oh
me when
yeah,
I
you can smell
talk about my
you
senses.
can smell cookies being baked like 3 blocks away. Yeah.
I tracked someone through a mall by sense of smell.
You're fucking Wolverine over there.
I tracked him down. Okay.
You like Logan, man.
Uh it's yeah, like okay. So I think because I can so strongly smell the aroma of banana and the aroma of raisin in the other thing, it's like it's confusing.
It's throwing you off. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that like it's like this should taste like a cookie, but all I smell is raisin because it's so pungent, right? Uh
I like avocado too. They're six. We went to Turtle Jack's for dinner tonight, or more like lunch, like at late lunch. And I had I'm toying with going back on keto or reduced carbs. So I had one of their meals called a burger bowl, which is basically a cheeseburger on a bed of like greens
right,
with
right.
hard boiled egg, some bacon, some avocado, and some sweet potato.
Decent.
It's really, really good. I fucking love it.
Like I hate sweet potato, but go on.
But yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. I like avocados as part of something, but just avocado toast. I find the taste of avocado and the texture of avocado just kind of mush. I don't really
So
like it.
there we agree. I can't just eat avocado, but I could put avocado on almost anything.
Right. Like avocado with
Yeah.
not like if I'm having nachos with sour cream and fucking salsa and avocado, no problem. Like what do you call it? Guacamole, which is essentially just pureed avocado, right? But yeah, like just you see about the hipsters eating toast, so buttered toast with avocados on them. I'm like, ew. Like that's
Yeah,
just
it's weird.
it tastes like you're eating almost like Play-Doh. It's fucking a weird texture in your mouth.
There is more to guac from what I understand. Six
Yeah,
will
you
correct
put
me.
other
You
shit
gotta
in
add onions, maybe some like diced tomato, and I think lemon juice, and then you should let it all
Yeah.
sit together in the fridge for 24 hours.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. Yeah, I think you put the lemon juice in it to keep it from going brown, right?
But
Yeah,
also for flavoring, and it does like a ceviche trick where there's some chemical thing happening with the acid, so it's like cooking it a little bit, but chemically instead of by heat, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Pox tonight? We got Costin and we got Six, but I don't see no Pox here. What the hell's
Late
he?
and gay.
He's late and gay, as always. So yeah, I haven't weighed myself in a bit, but I think I'm still hovering around 230, but I can see in my midsection. I still got my love handles. I still got a bit of fat in the gut area. So we're going to Curacao in December, late November. So I think before we go, I'm probably going to try and get back on keto. I am going to try and get back on keto. I think I might do another 3-day fast just before I go away. Just to drop a little bit more weight. So when I'm on the beach and I don't have my shirt on, I don't feel self-conscious about my body.
Well, I mean, you and your diets, I think you're doing that thing where you're over researching, you're spoiled for choice, and you're having trouble sticking to a thing. Right?
Well, that's the problem, right? If you say, Craig, just be disciplined and be conscious of what you're eating, that's fine. I can do that. But it's easier for me if I say I'll do keto, because then I have a specific framework with restriction. The problem is if there are trigger foods in the house, I will eat them. So if I tell myself I'm on keto, then I know I can't.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So Melina buys cookies. I'm not on keto, so yeah, I can have a cookie. And then a cookie turns to 2. And then I'm like, okay, now I've eaten a bunch of sugar and a bunch of carbs, and none of which are decent carbs or good carbs, and none of which are good sugars. So I'm just putting on fucking weight now. And it's not, and the 2 minutes of serotonin I get from the sweetness isn't worth the disappointment I have when I look at myself in the mirror. So I'm like, if I go on keto and I restrict my calories to, or restrict my carbohydrates to, somewhere around 50 grams of carbs a day, and I'm getting most of those carbs from high fiber breads and things like vegetables and fruits, fine. But if there's chips in the house, like potato chips in the house or fucking candy bars and shit like that, I'm gonna eat them. So, and that's the problem this time of year. And as we're getting into December, right? Because we got Halloween, so Halloween candies in the house. We got fucking Christmas coming, so there's gonna be lots of sweets and shit. So I got to be really, really disciplined. And I think by saying this is your diet, you are on a carbohydrate restriction because this is a keto diet, then I might do better.
Yeah, like if whatever it takes to maintain the discipline, right? Like, because that's the hardest part.
Melina doesn't like it because she likes cooking for us for dinner,
right?
And she's not doing keto, so I'm like, well, just cook like you would normally cook. I just won't have the potatoes, or I just of a much smaller portion of them, of a much smaller portion of the rice, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So.
And you also got to take into account like your diet has to line up with your fitness goals as well.
That's true,
right?
Yeah.
So where are you in your fitness goal? Like are you trying to put on muscle mass?
Yes, and that's
or are you trying to lose body fat?
I'm trying to do both, and that's the problem because it's difficult. Body recomposition takes a lot longer, and what I found when I was doing keto, I did not have the strength to lift because carbohydrates are readily available energy for your muscles to utilize.
Yeah.
Fat takes a lot longer to be utilized for doing work.
Yeah. Keto's hard to do and build muscle.
Yeah.
For that reason. But I'm sure you could figure out if your gym schedule was like,
it's Monday to Friday. It's Monday to Friday.
But is it Monday to Friday, 5:30 p.m. on the dot? Monday to Friday?
No, lately it's been Monday to Friday, and I'm going later in the evening, so I'm doing like 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
See, so what you'd have to do, or what might help, would be save a large chunk of your carbs.
Yep.
For just before the gym, so you're actually putting the fuel in your belly and going to the gym.
It's not a bad idea. So if
right.
I'm gonna eat my carbs, they're gonna be at dinner time.
Yeah. Right. Like, and you're an eggs for breakfast kind of guy anyway, right? So eggs for breakfast, some sort of like, tuna
Tuna
for
with
lunch. Yeah.
yeah.
And then potatoes off to the gym. You
Yeah,
should you
dinner.
should
Yeah,
have.
that's true. I mean, I could make up my proteins and my fats in my dinner, but make sure I have a potato so I have the carbs.
Yeah.
I was also thinking of doing alternate day intermittent fasting. So basically, I'd still be going to the gym 5 days a week, but um, on my fast days, they wouldn't be a true fast. It would be a much reduced calorie uh, um, uh, diet. So basically, I'd have a protein shake in the morning. I'd have a protein shake for dinner, and then I'd go to the gym.
Mm,
I don't know if that's going to be enough though. But then again, if the day before I've loaded up on a regular meal with the regular amount of carbs and protein and fat, then I should still have enough food energy in me on my second day to do my workout. You don't think so?
no, no, especially not with the carbs. The carbs are either burned
Yeah,
or stored.
they're stored. Yeah,
So if they're stored, then you're looking to tap the fat, right? Which is a little bit slower to go,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but here's again, over research, spoiled for choice, and
Yeah,
not sticking with the
I
thing.
definitely have like an idea. Like I got lots of ideas of how I could do things, but
Sure,
I'm happy
but
to experiment on myself. But
but
what's the
the
most?
experiment should be 3 to 6 months at a time,
Yeah.
right? Do this keto with your potatoes at dinner time before you go to the gym for
Mhm.
3 months and see if you have the energy over 3 months. Like maybe you need a couple of weeks to stabilize, a couple of weeks to, oh, okay, now I'm getting into it. Because if you're only doing it for like 3 to 6 weeks and then switching, you don't really know how much you got out of it, right?
Mm,
Like,
mm,
because these things are, yeah, multi-month and sometimes multi-year processes. Like,
right.
these guys, like, look at your boys on RP.
Yeah.
They've all been doing it for 20 years.
They're also
Like,
all gear.
so sure. So
Yeah.
they get a cheat, but also it's years and years and years. So you've got to give something a significant amount of time. And like,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the other option I could do, and again, like you said, spoiled for choice, right? The other option I could do is just simply um, go keto, worry first about losing the fat and getting trim. And then once I've got to that point, then introduce carbs into my diet, good carbs into my diet, clean
right.
carbs into my diet, and go and start putting on the muscle. Because as it stands right now, I'm like you've seen me. We met in person. I'm
Yeah.
6 feet tall. I've got a very wide, broad shoulder.
Yeah.
So even like with my shirt off, I look athletic up to about just my rib cage, and then you can see where my fat is, right?
Sure.
And then below that, my hips and my legs, I look athletic again. So it's this one little section of my body where I'm holding on to the fat. So if I can deal with that, then I would still have a relatively athletic looking body, and then I could worry about putting on the muscle. So
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, you're a large guy, right? If
yeah,
you're 6'1", 6'2", and 230, you
yeah,
could lose 20 pounds and not look smaller, especially if most of it's coming off around the midsection, right?
that's the hope.
You'll actually look bigger because as your
Probably
waist
because I'll
starts
be
to
more V shaped.
taper,
That's right.
your chest looks enormous now, right?
Yeah, I'll have a V shape on my body. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
Maybe
you've
I'll
got
go
to
that
pick
route. Maybe I'll
one.
just maybe because I didn't stick with keto for very long. And mainly was because I didn't find the energy to lift weights.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I like lifting weights and I like building muscle, and maybe I'm just trying to rush it too much. But the problem is when I'm on keto, I don't have the strength. I just don't. I'm finding I'm getting joint pain. I can't lift for a lot. Like I can't lift a heavy weight on anything I'm doing. And I feel like I'm wasting my fucking time in the gym. So maybe I go on keto and I concentrate more on like a calisthenic cardio style workout to burn the fat, to burn off the fat. I don't know. See what I do. I'll fuck around. I'll fuck around and find out. That's what I
yeah,
did.
but but pick something and stick with it. That's really the key, right?
No, I'll do what I want. No, I'm just joking. You're right. You're right. The problem is I'm endlessly experimenting with my own body, and I do lose focus on certain things. I go on these like little I have these whims every once in a while. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And I'll do it for like a week and a half and fuck, I didn't really like it that much. I'm gonna stop. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah. It's
But I
tough.
mean
It's
that's
tough. I'm a flibberty gibbet. It's tough being a flibberty gibbet.
a flibberty gibbet, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, I mean some
Hey
of
guys.
the
It's chat. Hey Squid.
some of some of my favorite exercises right now started as my absolute least favorite exercises, but they were
Like,
like okay, so let's the straight arm lat pull down.
yep, I love it.
When I first started doing it, it was like, I don't feel it. I must be doing it wrong. This is weird. It looks like, I'm presenting my ass to the whole fucking gym for something that
Yeah.
isn't
You
doing
don't
anything.
feel it until the fourth set. Then you start to feel it.
But I kept at it and kept at it. And then suddenly something clicked. And it was like, oh, there's the stretch. There's the okay.
Yeah.
And now it's like one of my favorites. It's like, oh yeah, here we go.
No, I love it. Yeah, it's
We're
a great
going for a
exercise.
record on my lat pull down.
The key for me though is to go lighter weight, because when I try and do a heavy, like I said, I've been doing it, and when I'm doing it at a heavier weight, I don't have the balance, and I find that I'm causing myself more joint pain than I am feeling muscle engagement. So I'm like, okay, got to lower the weight.
Which
So,
is
yeah.
why every like nickel that I add to it is like a huge accomplishment. And it's like, okay, it almost pulled me off my feet, go down and just go for reps, like just crush reps.
Yeah.
And like and now I love the way it feels. Like I can really feel myself.
Particularly in the lower part of the lats. That's where I really feel it the most when I'm doing it. The lower lats, I'm like, oh yeah, there we go. And again, the fourth set, when I'm first doing it, starting fresh on my back day, I'm like, because I'm doing a lighter weight, I'm not feeling it until the fourth set. I'm like, there it is. There's the pain, They're speaking Canadian words I don't understand. Yeah, I know. Tabernacle, poutine, flibberty gibbet.
Playing Stardew Valley, does that count as exercise? You know what? I've heard that game gets your heart rate up. Like there's stress involved in Stardew. So
Isn't that like
it
a little
well.
like a cozy like farm sim game?
No. I think Stardew Valley is one of those like old school RPGs.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, like Secret of Mana and that
I'm thinking Maple Story. Sorry, never mind. I'm thinking Maple Story.
one.
Which is more evil, Squid Coyote, Toronto, or all of Texas? Oh, fucking Toronto. Texas says Shangri fucking law.
Texas is the dream, man.
Yep, yeah. It's true. It's either North Carolina or Texas. That's where I go. Maybe we should get off of WAGMI and start talking about Squid Coyote. Brought it up. That interview, that Trump Joe Rogan interview.
We will, but also I want to tell you, deadlifts.
Oh, okay.
Deadlifts. I was terrified of like, oh,
I'm gonna hurt my back.
To Snap City. Yeah, but so at first I was like all form with baby weight, and like one day I got up to a proper 2-plate deadlift, and I was like, that's nothing. These guys, 20 pounds lighter than me are doing 315. And I had mentioned it to one of my bodybuilder kids at my old workplace. And they were like, really? That's pretty good. I was like, oh, because you got like pumpkin shoulders and you think that my deadlift is okay. And now, like I can do 240, 250 for reps. Right?
Yeah.
So it's one of the ones that as long as you keep at it.
Are you doing just a regular barbell, or do you use like a trap bar?
No, regular barbell.
See, I will avoid doing compound exercises like squats, like barbell squats, like deadlift, because my old man joints really, really feel it. And I'm convinced, like every time I do a deadlift with a new weight, or not deadlift, a squat with a new weight on a barbell, my back hurts. And I know my back shouldn't hurt. So my form is off. But since I started using a safety bar on my deadlift or my squat, much, much better. Because it's just something about the way it's distributing the weight. I don't worry about my back so much. And doing deadlifts with a trap bar, I know I'm not going to fuck my back up because the trap bar restricts how you can move when you pick it up. So squats, yeah, squats are good. I know, but you know what? When it comes to lower body, I still like fucking isolation exercises. I like the isolation machines. I just do.
Yeah. But I mean, there's some argument for central nervous activation and stuff like that, right? So
it's also more akin to how you would actually lift in a real situation, right?
Sure, right. And well, so's that bar, right? That the safety bar that fits. So like you wouldn't
goes over your shoulders and you hold the handles.
Yeah, that's how you would actually lift. Like the barbell is foreign to your proper mechanics. But the thing is, because I hated them and I was scared of them, I did what you were talking about with Lou Ferrigno doing. Lower weight and more reps and focusing on form. So now when my back rounds the tiniest bit, I'm like, nope, I just put it down.
Yeah.
And I can feel it because I was so focused on my form. So my form is fairly good now. And because I did all those lower weight reps over and over and over again, the higher weights, I'm strong enough now that the muscles are protecting my joints and I can feel everything.
Right.
And so I can add weight and go for it.
Yeah, maybe you know what I've been doing I've been skipping leg day, as you say, by doing an isolation exercise with every upper body day. But maybe I'll go back to doing safety bar squats. Again, low weight. Why not? Like if it's low enough weight, it's not going to bother me. Yeah, and high reps. Why not? Fuck.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of having like a really all-in-one gym. You can do anything you want. It's a smorgasbord. Everything's a right. So.
Right, and you had mentioned you don't like that. The day is almost shot with how sore you are when you've cranked out like something like a hard leg day, right? That the next day you're just toast, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, there's a corollary to that, and the corollary is your mom's high reps. Pox is here.
Your mom's high reps, is that what he said?
Your mom's high reps. The
corollary. Dead, Pox. Thanks, pal. I'm just fucking with him.
The corollary to that, yeah. So's his. That's
Oh.
Yeah. The corollary to that shot day is how fucking jacked you feel at the end of that leg day. Like fucking pumped in the quads and like, holy shit, I'm a fucking beast. I got through that. Like there's a real sense of accomplishment.
There absolutely is. But you know what? I feel the same pump when I do an isolation leg exercise. So when I'm doing like seated hamstring curls, right? Seated leg curls.
Yeah.
When I get up out of that chair and I walk back to the locker room, I'm like, fuck, I really feel it in my hamstrings. Same goes for leg extensions. I feel it in my what do you call it? My quads. So I'm not too concerned about the pump because I don't mind just getting the pump in one set of muscles on my legs. And I look at my legs and I'm like, they look pretty good. For a guy who doesn't do squats regularly, my legs look pretty good. Yeah. Now, I have a flat ass. I've had a flat ass. It's in my genetics. So I could do glute kickbacks, every day for a month and I'd still have a flat ass. It would just might be slightly rounded flat. It wouldn't be like, board flat. I forgot to get jalapenos at the store today. Now I'm sad. Well,
so movies have us convinced we should look like Mr. Universe when practical power has you looking like those fat guys pulling 2 buses 100 meters in Ironman competitions. The thing is, we don't want to look like Mr. Universe or like the fat. We just want to look like not disgusting naked. That's really the goal.
Well, right? Now that being said, I want to look like Captain America. That's my goal. But that's because I like to dress up in a tights and pretend I'm a superhero.
Sure, but that's also step 2, right? Step 1 is let's get rid of
it. Let's get rid of the spare tire and the love handles. That's my main goal right now.
You can't out-exercise a bad diet.
It's true. It's true.
So yeah, and part of the problem is, especially at our age, like I love Burger King, but goddamn, if I eat Burger King for dinner, the next day I may as well have been drinking. Like I'm literally hungover from Burger King. It's terrible.
So I told you earlier today I was at I was at Turtle Jack's for dinner. I had I tracked my calories for it. I had the burger bowl. That's a high calorie meal, but it's really good, macronutrients. I'll see if I can find it here.
Pox doesn't care if he looks disgusting naked as long as he can throw dryers at 60.
There you go, man. There we
Oh, and
go.
I know Squid was just pointing out reality versus movies, but yeah, no, I'm trying to keep it,
Yeah,
common sense, right?
sure.
Like,
So it's a total of 1,600 calories. This burger bowl from Turtle Jack's. Yeah, 63 grams of protein, 45 grams, 40 grams of carbs, 9 of which is fibers, 14 of which is sugars. And fat is 102 grams, 30 grams of which is saturated.
holy.
So if you want to do keto, the burger bowl is a good one.
Yeah, but that's like a lot of fat. Like I'm not opposed to like fat in my diet, but that's a lot.
Yeah, but that's keto though, right? Keto, you're getting most of your calories from fat and protein. It's mostly fat. And the rest is protein. The next biggest part is protein, and then the last part is carbs. Now this one is, so this one's lowest in carbs. Middle is protein, and highest is fat. It's an indulgence meal. Like for instance, that was my meal today. I had toast with croissant for breakfast and a banana, and then for dinner, which was like at 4 p.m., that's what I had. No French fries, nothing else, just that. So not bad. I'm still way below on my calories for today. Way below. Because I walked like close to 20,000 steps today.
Nice.
Yeah. We went to Royal Botanical Gardens, walked through their pumpkin trail. It's fun. I'm also trying to keep it real. You can look good or you can be strong. There is a very narrow window where those two cross over. True. I want to look good. I am all about aesthetics. I'm a very vain person. I don't give a shit if I'm actually strong. But if somebody comes up on me and I look like I have the boulder shoulders and I look like I've got a chest, they're going to think, and I'm 6 feet tall, they're going to go, that guy might be able to hurt me because he looks big and powerful. Whether I actually am or not doesn't matter. They're going to make me go, maybe I don't want to get into a fight with that guy.
Yeah, and I mean, like, yeah, I don't need to throw dryers. So, like, strong is relative, right? You also got to remember that Pox is bigger than the both of us.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Like, he's a tall, like, he looks like a biker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that he's not a biker surprises me every time I think about it.
Mm-hmm. No, he's a fucking nerd. He likes role-playing games.
I know, right? Imagine eating on a regular schedule as opposed to whenever you have 2 minutes to jam whatever is edible and within reach down your gullet.
But you know what? That's not bad if you can spend the energy, like if you can spend the calories in the work that you do. So if you do a very physically demanding job and you're very active all fucking day, like you work an 8-hour day, and that 8 hours is a full 8 hours, and the only time you stop is to eat that 2 minutes of food, that's not bad. Like you have a little bit of leeway to eat almost anything because you're burning the energy, you're burning those calories so quickly because you're working so hard. I sit at a desk all day, and even when I'm sitting at that desk, I'm not really working. I'm not even really engaging my brain because the job I do, a retarded monkey could do. And so when I'm not doing my job, the only time I get any physical activity is when I'm walking the dogs or I go to the gym. So I'm 6'1" and like 250 pounds, give or take. I'm 6 to 6'1". I think I've shrunk to be actually 6 feet now, and I'm about 230 pounds.
So,
and you're 5'2", and you weigh 110 pounds, right?
Something like that. Yeah, I dwell among the manlet princes.
The manlet princes. I'm king of the manlets. No, you're not
king of the manlets. King of the manlets are 5'11". Right?
Yeah, you're not that small. No, 5'11" is above average in height. Most men typically are 5'10". That's the average height. So 5'11" is not bad.
That's actually not correct. The average man is like 5'8" in Canada, and in the US, it's 5'8" to 5'9".
Used to be 5'10".
maybe people have been,
Yeah. We've been inbreeding with a bunch of subhuman races, so
but it's funny because there's nobody. It seems like there's nobody my height.
how tall are you exactly?
Yeah, 5'10".
Okay. Yeah.
Right? But it seems like there's nobody my height, that whenever I'm with groups of friends, I'm either looking up at all these 6 foot plus dudes or looking down at these 5'6" and 5'7" people.
Oh, no shit. Eh?
There seems to be very few people that are actually that are the same height as me.
It's all relative. Fuck, man. Like, who cares?
I don't know.
Apparently, women care. They want 6'5", athletic, and make six figures. Is that it? 6'5", 6'6", six-figure salary, and there's another six in there. I don't remember.
Oh, 6-pack, yeah.
6-pack. That's right. They want 6-pack, six-figure salary, and 6'6". That's what all women want. Yeah. Want to play dwarf toss with Irving, Craig? No, I couldn't do that to Irving. He's a good buddy of mine. 5'8" to 5'9" in North America. Yeah, it used to be 5'10". I remember reading back in the day that 5'10" is average for men and 5'5" is average for women. There's about a 5-inch difference between men and women in North America.
So
it may have changed.
5'10". It's funny, when I see him on camera, I get the impression that he's much taller than that.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
It's because that long hair, that long ginger hair. It's not ginger. I'm just fucking with it.
Women have no concept of proportions. You could
No,
be
they
like
don't.
5'8" and tell a bitch you're 6 foot and she would believe you, as long as you're taller than she is, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So it turns out that's actually the case, that women don't want a guy who's quote unquote tall objectively. They just want a guy taller than them. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I like when girls say, "So how tall are you?" Well, I'm 5'11". How much do you weigh? That's rude. How dare you ask that? I'm like, well, fuck. Hey, look, I can't control my height, but you can control your weight.
I can't change my height,
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I want to go back. I wanted to go back to the dwarf tossing joke. So no, it's not that you couldn't do that to me. I'm a good guy. It's you couldn't do that to me. You don't work hard enough in the gym.
That's true. I'm not that strong. I'm not that strong. I couldn't lift him.
Yeah, you said you're 230. I can deadlift 250 for reps.
Hey, good for you.
So yeah,
you can deadlift. Yeah. Can you bench 250? What do you bench?
No.
Yeah, I don't bench it.
No.
I benched this week because I normally do dumbbell benches, dumbbell bench bench press. And I don't care what people say. Whatever you can do on dumbbell is not what you can do on a barbell. Barbell bench press is easier than dumbbell bench press. So people say, well, you should be able to do whatever the same weight. No, it's not quite the same because you're engaging things slightly differently. You have to, you're pushing all the weight with one arm when you're doing all the weight on one hand with one arm. But when you're doing a barbell, you're combining your muscles together to lift that weight. So it's slightly different. Case in point, I was able to lift, and I haven't done bench press in probably half a year because I've been doing mainly dumbbells. And I was able to lift something that I haven't lifted in quite a while. I was able to lift bench press 115 for reps, which I know sounds like really small, but to me, that's not bad. 235s and the bar, right? 45-pound bar. So 115 for reps, so 10, 9, and then 6. I failed in 6 on the third set. But yeah, I mean, I'll get there. I don't care.
No, yeah, it doesn't matter what the number is as long as it's a little bigger than 2 weeks ago. Yeah, right? Like you can look and go, okay, oh yeah, that's, I make fun of myself too, that it's baby weight. On the other hand, it's baby weight that's, literally doubled over a year. So
not gonna lie, I envy you short guys sometimes. This face went, no giant girlfriend to step on my neck and call me a worm. Made me sad.
Was it? Women also want us to be vampire
who've never had sex or looked at another woman until we met them. That's right. And we fucking sparkle and smell like cinnamon. Cinnamon and gasoline. Because gasoline is manly and cinnamon is pleasant. That's why they want us to smell like that.
I think
How
I
about
don't
you?
focus enough on bench. I've been so.
12 years ago, no idea what I could do now. I was doing 180 on bench press, but okay. How about it? Invalid, but not blocking them. Yeah, I heard about that. Was that in Pennsylvania or? Yeah, we need to get off this WAGMI stuff. We've been talking about it.
We'll hold on. We'll get to this, but also this. So, like, yeah, when I was in my teens, right, like 17, 18 years old, sometimes doing 3-a-day workouts and like including karate classes 5 days, 6 days a week, hundreds of push-ups at a time. Yeah, I found out. Guess what? At 140 pounds, I could bench 180 for reps.
Yeah.
But I didn't really do weightlifting. I did mostly calisthenic type stuff, right? So it was just like, can I lift that? Oh, yeah, I can. Let's put a little more. Can I lift? Holy shit. But now, yeah, no, I can't do anything near that. Like, and I
think
don't
I could
focus
do, I
nearly
think
enough
I could
on
do
my
a
bench.
single rep at 180. I could probably do a single rep at 180, but that would be it. It would take everything to get that one rep. I wouldn't
I
go back.
couldn't. I know I
wouldn't
couldn't
go back for a
because
second. I wouldn't even
I
try to go back for a second rep.
yeah, no, I know I couldn't because like I don't focus enough. I've been back in bicep has been my favorite day for a little while now, and I focus and work really hard at it. And I think I'm not putting enough effort into
Yeah.
push day, chest and tricep day. Cause yeah, like with the brother-in-law to be was over at his home gym. And yeah, we went for 135, one plate LMAO. And yeah,
I used to be able to do that one plate. I used to be able to do it for
one
reps.
rep.
I used to be able to do it for reps. But not 10 reps, 6 reps. That's what I could do 135. But yeah. And you know what? I don't think I'm that far off being able to. I could probably do one set of maybe 4 or 5 reps of that. And then my second set and my third set would be fucking brutal. Like it'd be like I wouldn't even come close. I'd do 3 and maybe 2.
Don't be afraid to lower the weight and go for higher reps again. Because especially if you're doing that combo trying recomp idea, right? Like you have to lift as much weight as you can lift to build muscle, but then you have to do more reps to burn fat. Otherwise, you're just not you're not gonna get there. So you're trying to do both. It is gonna be weird. It is gonna be a long process, but stick with it and just keep working, right?
Yeah, maybe I'll do a combination keto, intermittent, alternate day intermittent fast. So do a regular.
Or you could just like be careful with your portion sizes and work hard. Like you don't have to overcome the issue.
That's boring.
You guys are so crunchy with your RPG rules. Okay.
Moving on. Yeah. Let's talk about
you hate Palladium, but you're so crunchy with your okay. So here we go.
The weave. Yes. It's kind of funny.
You understand
Donald Trump talking about the weave. You look at that man there. No, he doesn't have a weave. That's a hell of a comb over. It almost looks like a weave.
No, he was talking about the weave as in
weaving the tail. Yeah.
Yeah, that we're on a topic, but we need to bring in stuff from here and bring in stuff from here. And it was really good that you did a video on the Joe Rogan DJT podcast, and there was a moment in the video where it looked like you were struggling to find the words to describe it. And it's because
happens quite a bit when I'm making videos. Yeah.
No, but this was like, oh, how do I describe this Joe Rogan podcast? By saying it was just a Joe Rogan podcast. He had an interesting character on. They had a great conversation.
Yeah.
That character happened to be a former president who's running for president. So they talked about presidential campaigning and policy and stuff, but they also talked about boxing and history and like it was just a Joe Rogan podcast, and it was really good. There was something I noticed too, that people say, "Oh, Donald Trump is incredibly funny. He's got like comedian pro timing,
he really
but
does.
He never laughs." Kamala Harris isn't funny at all, but she laughs all the time. There's a moment where Donald Trump genuinely laughs.
It's true.
Right. Early on in that podcast.
Because Rogan's got the timing too.
Oh, yeah.
And Rogan, and you know what? He feeds off of Rogan because Rogan finds things genuinely funny. And when he finds things genuinely funny, and he laughs, it's infectious.
Yeah.
When he's talking to Michael Malice, when Michael Malice was saying, yeah, you can't say anything about Kamala Harris because then you're racist, you're sexist, and you're ableist. And Rogan goes, what do you mean ableist? Well, she's retarded. And Rogan just fucking busts out laughing, and you can't help but laugh yourself. He's like, it's true, she's fucking retarded. He's not wrong. Michael Malice is right. She is retarded. She's fucking retarded. Yeah.
But the weave was good because Joe Rogan, right? Like Donald Trump has a tendency to be all over the place.
Yes.
But Joe Rogan knows how to handle the likes of Alex Jones. So
Right.
this was no problem. I can easily keep this man within the guardrails, right?
He even called him back. So you got to weave that back now. You're getting a little off again. Yeah, and Trump's, you're right. But let me just finish this. It was a very entertaining 3 hours, 2 hours, 58 minutes. Whatever. It was a very entertaining 3 hours. And it was probably the most humanizing bit of media. Now, for guys who like Trump, like me and Twin, we like Trump. This is the character we know. He didn't do anything that surprised us because we always saw this character whenever he got up, whenever we saw him in the media, we're like, yeah, that's fucking Trump. That's what we love about him, But for people who like Joe Rogan's podcast, it's really geared towards normies. Like it's a very popular mainstream podcast. I was saying to Twin earlier, in his 3 hour podcast, he typically gets more listeners and viewers of his podcast than CNN will get in their primetime 6 hour block or 5 hour block. He on the internet is more mainstream than an established, 30 plus year cable news network that everybody knows about. Right. So he is the mainstream. He is speaking to normal people. And so him having Trump on normalized him to all these people who all they've been hearing about him for the longest time is that he's, the next coming of Hitler and he's the worst person in the planet and he's awful. And what was really good, what I really liked about it, when he started talking about how he was friends with, Joy Behar and all these people on The View, they loved him. They wanted him around. He, before he decided to run as a Republican, whenever they could get Trump on their show, they would get Trump on their show because he was entertaining and he was interesting.
It wasn't until it looked like he was going to win.
Yeah.
But let me color to the numbers a little bit. So Joe Rogan's podcast typically gets about 10 million views per episode.
Yeah.
But that's over weeks and months, right? That they're there. And I'll go back to one that's a month.
That's right.
It was 14 million by the time I started watching it this afternoon. And it was posted last night. It had 14 million.
It was 10 million when it aired. Like it was 10 million almost immediately
like
after
last night. Yeah.
I was watching the Timcast IRL and they said, oh, it's been dropped. We're going to cut the Culture War podcast for Timcast IRL early, and we'll do a watch party over on the Timcast website. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to watch the watch party because I don't need Mystery Science Theater 3000 to watch this. I just want to watch it. So I found it. Like an hour after it aired. Right. And it was already at 10 million views. So I'm like, okay, this is insane. And now it's at like what, probably 20?
Could be. Yeah. It's been all day, right?
Yeah.
And Squid is like Barron Trump is taller than Abraham Lincoln ever was by 3 inches.
Yeah, he's 6'9" for Christ's sake.
Do you see the way Donald Trump's face lights up when he mentions his son?
He fucking loves his kid. And he's so impressed by him too. Apparently the kid's like a very smart kid. Like,
yeah, I'm told he's like literal genius levels. That's why that conspiracy theory, my favorite conspiracy theory, well, second favorite conspiracy theory.
He's a time traveler, yeah.
Yeah, is so wild that like in the future, the genius Barron Trump will have invented time travel.
Did I see Tim Pool's bitch fit meltdown? I heard about it because the Quartering did a bit on it. He was talking about he might just cancel his whole fucking operation. Yeah, he had a freak out on one of his IRL podcasts. He's like, I might just end this. Like, he even called his IRL podcast, this might be the last one I do. And it was all about some sort of graphics card was fucked up and it was causing them problems to get their live stream going. And I guess a lot of things were just piling on and he'd had it. He's like, fuck, you know what? Why am I even bothering doing this kind of thing? So yeah, I mean, it was really just him fucking venting, really. But he's not going anywhere. He fucking loves what he does too much. He talks about it all the time. I could just skateboard and live in the fucking woods. I don't care. But
That's true. Yeah.
but in reality, he would be bored shitless if he stopped doing what he was doing. And Jeremy
Oh
at the
yeah.
quartering said, "You know what? You just need to hire somebody to manage the people who work under you. You have something you need to do, and that isn't
Mm.
managing people. You should be coordinating the future growth of your business." He fired
He
everybody
seems to
like
have fired.
2 people. No shit, eh?
All
Wow.
right.
Wow.
That's one way
Well,
of handling it.
I guess there
And,
was some sort of controversy about something was stolen from the business,
oh,
and there were more than it was, I guess one person did it, but a number of other people were implicated in the theft, and then another group of people kept quiet about it. I'm speculating. This is what I
I
heard.
don't know.
That something got stolen. So that's what I'm speculating. If he fired all but like 2 people, that could be it.
Oh, okay. The TLDR is he's been paying a lot of dead weight for a long time. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Because he hires his
Uh,
friends. He hires his friends. A lot of the people who work for him are friends.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Baron apparently was pushing him into the podcast. So yeah, apparently Baron
Neil
is
Vaughn, yeah, the Neil
technically,
Vaughn podcast and the other ones, yeah.
but he's actually one of Donald Trump's advisors now because he's like the Gen Z advisor, right? Like,
Pulse on the younger generation.
yeah, right. And it makes perfect sense. The kid's super smart. He's 6'9". He's actually the monomyth. This is all prologue. Uh, right. 1,000 years from now, they're going to talk about these things as a footnote that led to Barron Trump, right?
I have a feeling that Donald Trump is the monomyth for our time. Barron Trump will be the monomyth for the next epoch. How about that? Which is
Well,
coming
what
very
we're
soon.
gonna,
Here's the thing. After Donald, here we go. We're getting all fucking mythological here. After Donald Trump fixes the United States and brings Western civilization back from the brink of its own implosion and defies all historical precedents by saying that by reversing the decline of the empire. So people are saying that Trump's a Caesarian character and the United States is in Western civilization is in the decline of Rome kind of era right now, right? Trump's going to reverse it. The United States is going to see a new golden age. And then the next epoch will be what human civilization is like without ever present overreaching government in everybody's lives. And you're going to see characters like Musk become like the what do you call it? The Dabney Taggart from Atlas Shrugged. Is that name? Dabney
I
Taggart?
can't remember the names from
I
Atlas
you know,
Shrugged.
I years since I read anything from Atlas Shrugged. But anyway, he was the big mogul who basically the government wanted to take control of his technology, and he said, "No, fuck you." Or was it Talbot? I can't remember. Anyway, he will be Elon Musk, and then Barron Trump, and the other people of that generation who see the changes brought about by Donald Trump and the new epoch are going to continue on with a world that's free from oppression by large shibboleth government structures. You'll see a world where it's much more local government, much more local entrepreneurship, and globalism will be how fast can we get our goods over there? That'll be globalism. That's it. That'll be the extent of globalism. We've got goods. Those people way over there want it. How quickly can we get it to them? Technology will allow for that. Who is John Galt?
Why
John
does that name sound familiar to me?
John Galt. Didn't he have a gun club? No, that's John Brown. There's a John Galt gun club in Cambridge, or is it just Galt Gun Club? Irving, as an aside, DM me the top 10 brands of hooch you would serve in your spaceship bar.
Uh,
Just make them up. Just make them sound like Canadian mythology.
no. Good ones will last, right? Like, there's going to be in a future on a space like Elon Musk's Mars in 2135.
We'll have Jack
There's
Edge.
going to be no, they're going to have Lagavulin. right? That's good. That's still going to be there. You know, like
So will Jack Daniels. I guarantee you, Jack Daniels will still be there.
probably, even though that's garbage. But
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 it's
also, yeah. To be specific, send me the spread that you're going to need. Like otherwise, I'm just going to pick whiskey.
was it
Scotch
John
and
Galt? Was that the name of the mogul? I thought it was something else. Maybe it was John Galt.
Oh,
God King Baron. There's 2 R's in Baron, by the way. Ayn Rand, yeah. Atlas shrugged, you retards. No, I know the book. I just thought his name was Dabney Taggart for some reason. I must be
no,
just
but isn't there some like protagonist and then you're thinking of other? I think, yeah, I can't remember.
I might be confusing my books. I don't know.
I don't really like. Yeah,
I never read the full Atlas Shrugged. I started reading. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure I can read this. What I have started reading though is Fafard and the Grey Mouser. Have you ever read it?
no.
It's a classic fantasy, dark fantasy story about a thief and a barbarian and their adventures in Lankmar. Taggart may have been the railroad baron. No, that might be. Yeah. You're right. I think that.
And there's only 1 R in this Baron, 2 R's in the proper name Baron.
That's right. 2 R's in Baron Trump, but 1 R in a Baron as in a title. You're on the weave. Sorry, we weaved.
Yes. Oh yeah. Of course we have. So let's get back. Yeah. I think Squid had said he pushed him hardest on tariffs. I don't know how much he was pushing him. I think he was just very interested in it because they were also had brought up the elimination of income tax, and he talked about a president that got assassinated, McKinley, in the 1880s or 1890s.
Yep.
And
he was he was the guy who was big on tariffs.
Yeah. And I mean, people have this idea that, oh, if you put tariffs, everything will get more expensive. It's no, not everything.
Only imported shit will get more expensive.
Sure, but also suddenly it will be affordable and profitable to start producing those things at home.
Right.
Which means more jobs for people, which means more money for people. Right. This idea of free trade with other nations only makes sense if the other nations are playing by the same rules.
Right.
And China isn't.
No.
Right. It's not at all free trade. You know what I mean? Like,
no, and not only that, China, in addition to basically undermining US industry and US goods with their goods, their cheap goods, a lot of the goods that they send over is fucking poison. They're like, I don't give a we'll put like melamine in our baby formula. We don't give a shit. Because it's not our babies eating it. It's their babies. Fuck them. No, China's a bad actor, man. And why? I mean, I know why the US has been mollycoddling them the entire time. It's because the US senators and Congress people, they're getting rich by companies who want them to make good deals with China so they can move their operations over there or they can sell to them or buy it from them. That's why. So like a US company wants to buy cheap shit from China, sell it in the United States, and they engineer the legislation that allow them to do that. And Congress people are like, fuck, man, that's a big briefcase full of cash. I guess I got to do it. You know?
Okay.
No, the thing I liked about Trump in regards to the tariffs was he was really succinct. He was really succinct, and he made a very, basic and simple argument for why they're better. And what did he use? He talked about under leverage. You'd be under leveraged if you added tariffs and you didn't get rid of income taxes. You'd be under leveraged or over leveraged. I can't remember the phrase.
No. He was talking about the deficit. That
right, the deficit.
Imposing the tariffs raised the deficit. Yeah, but the growth increased more than the deficit.
That's right.
So now you're under leveraged again. You're profiting off of your borrowing, right? You talk to a lot of people that do a lot of this kind of big level business. Donald Trump isn't afraid to go to a bank and say, "Lend me $300 million," because he's going to make a whole lot more than the interest costs on that $300 million.
And they're like, $300 million. What's the interest? holy fuck, we stand to make $70 million in interest over the 6 years or whatever it was, right? So like, yeah,
and
here's your $300 million, buddy. And you have
I
10
talked to a
years
friend
to
of
pay
mine
it back.
about
And then he ends up paying it back early. And they're like, fuck, we didn't make as much money on the interest, but fuck, we got our money back. So who cares?
yeah, like it was free money, and now we have no liability anymore.
Right.
I didn't understand it in my early 20s when I was talking to my buddy who was, like, buying a house, investing in this, and it's like, oh, you're accumulating all this debt, and I was like, yeah, I'm always in debt, and I'm always looking to accrue a little
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Right. And now he's well-to-do. Like, I'm jealous. I was like, oh, well, shit, I should have been paying more attention. Right.
Well, there's good debt and there's bad debt, right? Credit card debt is bad debt. A
Yeah.
mortgage is good debt. Anything that turns into that, debt that is used to buy tangible assets is good debt. So even
Yeah.
arguably, you could say credit card debt ain't bad if you're buying a bunch of, expensive paintings that are going to turn over and make, triple their money. If you're doing that all on credit cards, okay, you're paying 20% or 22% or whatever to buy all these, collectibles. Let's say you bought fucking hockey cards. You buy a shit ton of hockey cards, and you know that these hockey cards are going to see you a return in a few years, tripling their value. Then who cares if you put it all on your credit card because you're tripling whatever it is you bought. So, yeah, debt is good if it makes you money. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
if at least
Exactly. It's a tool.
it has tangible assets behind it. You know what I'm saying? Just steal caddies from the undercars. Yeah, catalytic converters, baby.
But yeah, like, I mean,
But
the
it's good
problem,
because more
with
money.
COVID, right?
Yeah, more money, but same level of debt will mean you are winning. The problem, though, comes from if uh, you're making money, but you're devaluing your currency. Then okay, yeah, you've got $300,000 now, but it's not worth what $300,000 was 5 years ago. It's worth much less.
But they wouldn't have had to do that,
Right.
except or they wouldn't have had an excuse to pretend they had to do that
Yeah.
without COVID, right? Because yeah, like that's the other thing is like, oh, we've got to get these food prices down. That's not going to happen, right? People don't want to hear
Oh yeah,
the real truth.
that's right.
The food prices aren't going to drop to where they were, but you can increase the buying power so your dollars are buying you what they used
Yeah,
to,
they go further.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you'll be making more dollars, right? So the percentage of your income that goes to food will be the same as it was, but the prices are probably going to stick around where they are now, right?
Right.
So that's but
That's
currency
why
shouldn't inflate it.
when Kamala talks about, she's going to stop price gouging, all I hear is Jagmeet Singh. Like that's his fucking line. He thinks that the reason that people are paying too much for groceries is because those evil grocery stores charging way too much money for eggs. No, you fuck. Because our dollar isn't worth shit. And you got more dollars chasing
Yeah.
fewer goods. That's inflation. You can't, and the idea of price controls, you're just signing on to full blown communism. Then why don't you just make Canada, the Canadian government become the egg producers of Canada? They're the ones who will set the price of eggs. They're the ones who will buy all the eggs. They're the ones who produce all the eggs, and they're the ones who will distribute all the eggs. Full blown communism. And that's what Kamala wants. Communism law. Communist law. Yeah, no, I fully agree. And this is the other thing. And I said it was a contrast, right? Because she had the town hall on CNN like 3 days prior to this, and it was the most disingenuous display and the most facile projection of who she is, that anybody who watched that, like you saw the people asking the questions, they had canned questions for her, right? That she knew in advance. And then her answers come out, and the looks on the faces of the people with the questions is like that JD Vance look, like, come on. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck. One, you didn't answer my fucking question. And two, you didn't say anything. And there was a guy on CNN who said Kamala Harris was in a one-person debate tonight and she lost. And I'm like, exactly. She was in a one-person debate tonight that was rigged for her with pre-screened questions for her, and she still fucking lost. Which begs the question: are they intentionally trying to lose? Are they like, okay, we need to go out into the weeds for 4 more years and then come back with a vengeance? Or I've been of the mind that Barack Obama, since he first became president, his whole thing is to be the guy who engineers and steers a managed decline of the United States. It's like he saw the United States and Western civilization in general becoming, declining, gradually becoming less relevant. And he's like, I'll manage it. I'll get rich off of it. All my handlers, all the people who put me in power will get rich off of it. And we'll try and make it as painless and as, as nice or helpful to the American people by giving them a bunch of free shit. Okay. And they were fully expecting United States is going to decline, Western civilization is going to decline, and we just have to ride it down and try and make it seem like people will be better off at the end of it all. And of course, we won't admit that it's going to decline, but we'll act like, we have their best interests in mind, when in reality, we're just looking out for ourselves. This is what I thought Barack Obama was doing. And now I'm thinking that maybe they're like, okay, the United States is declining like all great empires do. Western civilization is declining like all great civilizations do. But we don't necessarily want that to happen. And here's a guy who might be able to turn it around. We can't just let him do it. We have to put up a fight because we still have a piece in this game that we want to maintain long term. The Democrats have to exist beyond Donald Trump. So maybe we just take a loss. We put up a fake fight and we take a loss. Now I'd say that might be the case, but they tried to kill the guy. He survived, and then maybe they said, fuck it. He's got a bulletproof spray tan. We can't kill him. So we better just take the loss. Put Kamala in there. Biden can't certainly win. Put Kamala in there. She'll lose spectacularly as well. He'll, rule the United States with fire and brimstone for 4 years and make the place better. And then we can come back in and talk about all the evil shit he did and how bad he was and how we can chart a new path forward. All the while, we're going to stymie him and call him the second coming of Hitler and Satan and the Antichrist. And then when we come back in, people will be wanting him. I think it's a bad gamble on their part, quite frankly.
No, I mean, I don't know that they're tanking Kamala on
I think she's tanking
like
herself.
it's like watching a building burning and throwing a Molotov cocktail at it and going, yeah, like I'm doing something that you're not, right? There's a short clip where it's hard to read the lips beyond this.
Yeah,
but
I know.
You can clearly see Barack Obama shake his head and say to Joe Biden, "No,
nope,
it's over."
He's like, nope, she's not doing well at all.
It's over. It's so clear. No, it's over, and it's like there's no You might be able to tank Kamala as in she'll never work in this town again, which I think is what's likely to happen. Like this is the end of her political career right here.
Yeah, she'll become somebody on CNN. She'll become a guest contributor on CNN or MSNBC.
No, I don't think they'll want her. I think that this is doing so much damage to her reputation.
Yeah.
Right. They don't care about credibility. They just care about rep. And her rep is getting so bad here. Like that her own crowd booed her.
I'll take it back. You're right. She's not even valuable to MSNBC because she's terrible even at saying the party line because nobody believes her because she's completely incredible. She's going to go back to hooking at 60. Yeah. She's going to become a madam and
she never stopped.
She'll become a California madam. She'll get all of Gavin Newsom's. I love how he calls him Newsom.
Yeah,
it's fucking brilliant, man. She'll get all Gavin Newsom's buddies laid. She'll be a madam in California.
But like I think they're again. look at the infighting in the Republican Party, right? That there's like never Trump people that have
Yeah, but
started siding with the Democrats.
sure, but
But
they're
the
largely
Democrats
irrelevant.
are even Sure, but the Democrats are even more fractious. They're
Mhm.
usually whipped and beaten into submission, but something happened, and it's not two factions. It's not just like a Kamala and an Obama, right? I think Hillary is not part of the Obama faction. Like the
No.
Clintons and the Obamas were at odds,
Yep.
and now Kamala tried to make her move because, the squad or whatever were doing their thing and causing their own fucking ruckus. And they lost cohesion. They couldn't get their shit together in time, and Obama couldn't protect Biden. Like it just became impossible. His cognitive decline was too obvious.
Here's my
So
thought. I think it was I think Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are in the Biden or in the Obama camp. They're part of that faction in terms of the palace intrigue goes. They put the word out after Biden's terrible performance at the debate, right? They put the word out to for him to resign, and they put the pressure on him for him to resign, and then eventually they just published a letter saying, "I'm resigning from seeking reelection," kind of thing. He didn't do that. He did not release that letter. That was not his letter. That was put
no,
out for him, and they said to him, "Look, it's out there. You're not seeking reelection, whether you like it or not." He did not name somebody uh, who should be taking his place in that letter, because at that point, the Obama faction was thinking, we'll have an open primary at the DNC, and it'll be a quick, whoever gets voted in there becomes it. And Hillary
Republican
Clinton,
primary.
yeah, and Hillary Clinton said, "Nuh-uh. We're going to put it out there that Kamala has been tapped by Biden. He wants her to do it." Putting some license or some agency back in Biden so Biden could screw Obama and screw those people who are forcing him out. And I bet you he doesn't even think Obama was part of it. He probably thinks it was Pelosi and Schumer. But the fact of the matter is, Pelosi, Schumer, and Obama are all in on the same team, and it's the Clintons who were in opposition. That's my thought. The palace intrigue is that the Clintons made it so that Kamala would be the candidate. The Obamas wanted someone else,
I think you give
probably Newscomb.
maybe, yeah. I think you give Schumer and Pelosi too much credit though, as to be loyalists to a faction. I think they're fucking.
Oh no,
I think they're
they're
snakes that
completely
will just go wherever
self-interested.
the power is. Yeah.
Sure, they're completely self-interested, but I think they view Obama as having much more credibility and sway in the Democrat Party than the Clintons. Because let's remember, Hillary Clinton was disgraced when she left as Secretary of State under Obama. Okay, the Clintons and the Obamas never really liked each other. Because Hillary Clinton's a fucking terrible racist, and so is Bill. Um, and I have a feeling that Schumer and Pelosi, they're just like, Obama's the guy. He's the DNC. He's the guy who runs this party when it comes right down to it. Clinton is persona non grata because fuck her. She couldn't even win against Donald Trump. And she's despicable. Everybody fucking hates her. Nobody considered her a legitimate senator when she first became a senator. She got in on the fact that she was married to Bill Clinton. She had no business being a fucking senator. And then they also did not like her for the fact that she is a snake in the grass. Like everybody knows she's an evil piece
Oh
of
yeah.
shit. So whereas Obama at least has the semblance of being uh, um, likable and a decent person, right? Even though he's not, he's as bad as any of them. But Lace is here. Welcome, Lace. Kamala isn't even going to get work as a consultant. Yeah, no, but I mean, she doesn't need to. She's fucking rich. She doesn't fucking care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't need the work, but I mean, it is kind of, the revolving door between, from government into CNN or MSNBC or into lobbying or into no one's going to want to pick her up. Like
No,
that's it.
no,
It's
no,
over.
because she's clowned herself. You know what? You don't remember when John McCain picked what's her name, fucking Sarah Palin as his running mate, and they be clowned.
Damn, son.
McDonald's is hiring. Nice nap. Um, McCain picked Palin as his running mate, and they beclowned her. They basically turned her into a joke, and there was no reason to turn her into a joke, but they turned her into a yokel because she wasn't very polished on it with media. Okay, um, Kamala is much, much, much worse than Palin. Even friendly media can't polish the fucking turd that she is. She's terrible with media. She can't answer a question. She's incapable of being honest, and even her ideas, her so-called ideas and plans, are just ripped off from Trump. So,
yeah,
like he said no tax on tips. She came up with no tax on tips. I would not be surprised if she comes out in the next couple of days. Yeah, we'll look at removing income tax, which quite frankly I think is brilliant, and I hope it goes through because then I could see other Western nations that are friendly towards the new epoch with doing something like that as well. And that's really the only thing that's the first thing that needs to be done in order to usher in the new era of a small, detached, inconsequential federal government for
well,
Western.
am I remembering this correctly? Did Viktor Orban do something like this with families?
Yes.
That for every child you get a kickback on your income tax to the point
You
that
needed to
if you
stay
have
married.
children and stay married, they no income
You
tax.
stay married and for every child you got to get it at the point of having up to 4 children, you paid no income tax. So you get a bit of an income tax discount for every kid, and if you end up having 4 kids and staying married, you have to stay married.
Yeah, but there you go. There's your economy.
No income tax. You don't pay any fucking income tax. Perfect.
There's your 4+% growth forever.
Right. Exactly.
Like, yeah.
He should follow, and that's the thing. Trump's a big fan of Viktor Orban. You know what? It would be smart to do. It would be really smart to say, Kamala to her boss at McDonald's, hey, I think we should start selling the Whopper. There you go.
Trump said he's going to send her a MAGA hat, right? Like
that's right. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Trump's surrounded himself with very consequential and very important people like RFK Jr., like Tulsi Gabbard, who is quite frankly really well liked amongst both Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk, like Vivek Ramaswamy, who quite frankly isn't getting as much airplay as he should. He's been touring with Charlie Kirk on the Turning Point's junket, but he should really be getting a lot more play because he's really good with the camera. But these are good, consequential people. And who does Kamala surround herself with? Beyonce and all the people who are on P. Diddy's fucking list that they fucking blackmailed.
No, but I mean, poor Vivek is I'm sorry, he's getting outclassed, right? There's RFK, right? Like
no, but it's true.
Even Vance, JD Vance is
he's
like shown himself to be a fucking rock star. You know what I mean?
And you know what? Here's the thing, and you can see how Trump really appreciates the choice he made. He's like, I think I made a great choice with him. He's really good. Like, I think he genuinely likes JD Vance and thinks he's going to be. And he's thinking about him as he's the future of the Republican Party. JD Vance. That's how and he's probably looking at Ramaswamy and going, he is also the future of the Republican Party. Like these are really, they're basically the Avengers. Yeah, it's true. And when you look who Kamala has, she has Bruce Springsteen. She is fucking Beyonce, Lizzo.
She has Batman. Like, it's hard. She has Batman.
Which Batman?
Michael Keaton.
Oh, really?
Michael Keaton. Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard to knock her there. But I mean, like, you're saying he's surrounded himself with these people. You know,
celebrities don't know shit about anything. Okay, people who lived in Hollywood their entire lives, and have never had to fucking go and pay for things, and worry about whether or not they're going to have money. They don't know what people are going through. Now, you could say the same thing about Elon Musk. He doesn't know what people are going through. But the thing is, he's got a broader understanding of how the world works, whereas these people
Yeah,
don't know
and he's
shit.
busy with rockets, right?
Yeah,
He's busy with
and fucking
efficiency.
electric cars and fucking Neuralink and fucking satellites that give internet to people in the woods. Like,
Starlink, yeah. But hey, I got to circle back to this. You know, Trump is surrounding himself with these people, but consequently, he's also surrounding Barron with these people. And
yes,
Barron is going to have the advantage that Donald Trump didn't. He's going to grow up surrounded by these people.
that's it. That's it.
I've
Yeah,
got
you know
I've
what?
got such
That's
high hopes for this kid. No pressure, Barron. I know you're watching.
true. He loves Casual AF. What are you talking about? He
Who
watches
wouldn't?
Joe Rogan podcast, Theo Vaughn, and Casual AF and Ammunition.
Yeah, great.
But yeah, no, I think you may be right. That's if he wants to pursue a career in politics. Now, I have a feeling that Trump doing this has set up a dynasty, especially if he's an effective. If he becomes effective, it's only going to be natural that people ask, okay, when is Donald Trump Jr. going to run for president? When is Eric Trump going to run for president? Or when is Eric Trump going to become, you know, the if Donald Trump Jr. becomes a president at some point, how will Eric Trump figure into his cabinet, so to speak, right? Um, yeah. No, I think he's setting up a legacy. I think he's setting up a dynasty. I could see it happening.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking for something. I'm never gonna find it. I've probably mentioned it
Pence seems
before, but it's so
way
great.
better than Pence. Absolutely. Pence was
Yeah.
a career politician who was in it for himself. Absolutely. I did not, when they did that joint interview back in 2015 or 2016 before the election, when he chose Pence and he sat down with some, I don't know, some media pundit or whatever, and they did an interview and they talked about, why he picked him, why he was so on board. I'm like, this guy's a fucking liar. He's just saying what he needs to say because he was tapped. He doesn't care. He's a politician. He's clearly a politician. And maybe he does have, you know, virtues and values, but he's still fucking bought and sold. He's a career politician. I am going to go get a drink. My mouth is very dry. If you would mind, I will
All right. Oh yeah, okay. Just left me hanging on that. Yeah, so there was some talk of on the Joe Rogan podcast of mediocre people towing the line and never doing anything like unexpected or controversial or or risk taking. And Trump referred to them as survivors and spoke about how he actually, in a strange way, respects them because it is hard to stay in these DC jobs. Someone's always out to backstab you to try and get your position and all that. Like he had mentioned how desperate, like publicly, they'll say, "Oh, I wouldn't even want that job because look at all the pressure." But like behind the scenes, they're begging for those appointments and stuff. But then they get them, and then they don't want to do anything that rocks the boat. And it's like, you have a pure outsider here. He's going to mean to rock the boat. And now at least he knows who's like that, who's not like that, and or has a better idea, and is more likely to appoint more people with more good ideas that are willing to make some changes. Like RFK is just out there going, "We need to change the whole health of the nation," and he's going to do it. And Elon Musk, someone had said, "Oh yeah, like the Dogecoin joke, Department of Government Efficiency," and he's like, "Yeah, I'll fucking do it," because he's good at that kind of thing. Like, remember, he didn't invent Tesla, the car company. The car company was there, and it was failing. And Elon Musk looked at it and went, "This is a really good machine. How are you failing?" Bought it and turned it around. Right. So now he's firing rockets into space. Oh, I want to bring up Thunderfoot about this because there's this guy Thunderfoot. I don't know if any of you remember him from the old anti-SJW days. That's how I found him. But he's actually a scientist, a research scientist, and he's taken to shitting on Elon Musk for making all these great space accomplishments by saying he didn't do it in the time frame he first expected. Right? Oh, look at this loser. He landed a 20-story rocket in giant Mecha Godzilla chopsticks years later than he said he would. What a loser! It's like, it's really terrible. I can't. He landed a rocket in Mecha Godzilla chopsticks, a 20-story tall rocket. Like, incredible. Just mind-boggling how he managed.
He is an incredible person, Elon Musk. And you know what, Trump's lucky to have him as a surrogate for sure. And I do hope that he starts the Department of Government Expenditure or whatever it's called. Doge.
Department of Government Efficiencies. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, like, the guy makes a fuck ton of money, and he knows how to spend it to make more money. It's great.
Yeah, I used to watch Thunderfoot 2.6 because I used to be big into the atheism YouTube sphere. I used to watch the Atheist Experience with Matt Dillahunty all the time. Thunderfoot, he was big in the atheism field. Bunch of others, Aaron Ra, and then atheism became infected with Atheism Plus, which was the start of the wokeification of these sort of fringe elements on the internet. Everything started to become woke. I think atheism was the first sort of like subculture, internet subculture, that became woke like openly. Someone got up someone got up at some atheism event and said, Atheism Plus means considering how our atheism affects people of color and marginalized groups. And if you can't include that in your discussions in media about atheism, then you don't belong you shouldn't be part of the atheism media sphere. And people were like, what the fuck? Like, no, atheism has nothing to do with social justice. Atheism has to do with atheism, a lack of belief in God and criticizing Christian belief. And then some people got right on board with it. Like Aaron Ra became a total woke faggot. Thunderfoot, Matt Dillahunty. Yeah. Bunch of woke faggots. At TJ. Yeah, TJ, the guy who fucking shoved a banana up his ass. Yeah, total woke faggot. I have no interest in any of them.
It's funny though how, the target is always Christianity, very rarely Islam, and never Judaism.
Well, yeah, but okay, think about that though. Christian YouTube and Christianity as a whole, cultural Christianity, is simply being a target of attack. It hasn't been infiltrated with wokeness. I mean, you still got you got Episcopalians and you got some of these fringe Protestant, sects that, embrace trans priests and trans ministers and love it. God, Jesus loves all trans people, and, nobody can do any wrong, and sin is an outmoded concept. But they're very fringe, and most Christians don't subscribe to that. As a matter of fact, they're more atheist than they are Christian.
So they're so fringe. I'm told that in most cases, they're fake.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not really ordained, but they're ordained the same way you can go on the internet in the next before this show is over and get ordained. And then they claim that they're spokespeople for Christianity. Well, and I saw this great comic.
There's a reason why they're always Episcopalian or some really narrow offshoot of Protestantism, right? Probably because they're so fringe that they're yeah, fuck, we'll accept anybody and make them a minister. You don't have to go you don't have to study divinity. You don't have to go to college and learn take a course on religion. Just apply and we'll make you a fucking minister.
But I saw this great comic strip. It's a single panel, all right? There's a minister standing at a dais, right? The cross in the background, the altar and all that. And there's pride flag, BLM, trans colors somewhere. And in the door frame is a shadowed figure, long hair and a beard, wearing a robe with a whip in his hand. And the minister is looking at the door frame and says, "Who are you?" Perfect.
True. Well, we got a couple of here.
Come again?
Fox shared a green text.
To where? Are you going to screen share?
Yeah, I can screen share it.
Jeez, pardon me. I'm almost over that cough.
Almost.
I can usually clear out long enough to go to the gym, right? Where all I have to do is like put in my shirt real quick but I'm not hacking up stuff that looks like it came out of dead Vaxie's bloodstream. So it's much better. It's much better.
Okay, I think I put it in the queue. I think you need to share it.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, read it for us.
I take a mouthful of cookie right before I'm going to read. Okay, one moment. I'll use my chipmunk cheeks and fucking lodge my food in there. Be me, 19 years old virgin. Watch MILF porn all the time and fap. Make a new friend in class. Go to his home. No father. Single, sexy mother. Remember porn.jpeg. Plan to fuck her. Go to his house when he is out. Start flirting with his mother. Say I want to have sex with you. She slaps me. Don't trust porn. They fuck you up. Response. Idiot. It doesn't work if you don't go in character. Next time, show up as a plumber or something. Bro. Step bro, what are you doing?
Oh man.
Okay, Hawks is talking about Thunderfoot was always a crying little bitch. Yeah, true. With a weird, massive neck. Like, I've got a pretty broad neck, the width of my head, but it's still proportioned. You look at Thunderfoot, and he's got weird fucking giant neck. It's crazy.
So he's pretty buff, actually. And
yeah, you're right.
His neck is like almost bodybuilder neck. Yeah, like
yeah, he's in decent shape. You're right. If I recall, even his science videos were flawed as fuck. Yeah, I mean, he did a lot of like experiments, which were basically, you know, metals reacting with water experiments. But most of his stuff that was like really sort of took off was when he would debunk things like solar freaking roadways. Remember that solar road thing?
Oh yeah, vaguely.
Talking about hexagon glass panels for roadways that had solar cells inside of them. So that you could power the United States with solar freaking roadway. And everybody was all on board. And he's like, that's so stupid. Why would you put it on the roads that are going to be covered with cars? You'd be better off putting it on top of like canopies over parking lots. Like that doesn't make any sense at all. Anyway, and then he was talking about the Hyperloop. So Hyperloop was a big thing that Musk was trying to. He wasn't doing it. He was putting his name behind it. He wanted people to develop.
Yeah.
But his whole thing about debunking Hyperloop was, look, if you decide you want to put a train car in a vacuum and there's any failure of that vacuum anywhere, everybody in that train car is going to die because the force at which they're going to all of a sudden start moving is going to they're going to smear themselves inside the train car. And he's not wrong about that. That science that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, still, it's worth a shot. Some problems have solutions, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't have it. I was looking for something funny. Oh, but okay, something funny that I
Well,
was trying to mention.
Cenk Uygur Mossab guy, that Cenk Uygur Mossab video.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. We'll do it next, but just quickly before I forget,
Okay.
I probably mentioned it before. Someone took a clip of Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley debating over something, but they overlaid the audio from this thing where two Indian guys are yelling at each other in English, but neither of them actually speaks English. So it's like they keep switching back and forth between Vivek and Haley, right? And go, bloody bitch bastard, you are the fucking. I am not the fucking. You are the most fucking.
That's funny.
Fuck you, bloody.
Have you been watching Wycliffe at all lately?
A little bit, yeah. When I can.
He's become like very, very anti immigration, eh? Like crazy anti immigration. And
I mean,
he's doing his pro free speech, but like when you and I first interacted with him, he was always I've got to be very careful about the kind of things I talk about. And now he's like, I don't give a fuck. This shit is
yeah,
destroying our country.
yeah.
I'm
Oh yeah.
like, good on him. Like, good for you, man. You're fucking fight the fucking power, man. I hope his documentary gets funded, and I hope he makes it. And I put money into it. I support it. I want other people to support it too.
Yeah. We should drop a link.
Let me see if I can find it.
No, doesn't matter. There's almost no Canadians watching.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you can't see money.
But it does mean they don't have to care. So
yeah, true.
But yeah, like I mean, what's his name?
He's about halfway through to his funding.
Nice,
good for him.
Good work, Wycliffe. But I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, Maxime Bernier is the same. Like, you know, Pierre Poilievre is talking about increasing immigration. That, you know, oh no, we shouldn't be cutting off these students with their visas and the foreign workers. They should all have a path to citizenship. It's like, no, we need a moratorium. Like, even Justin Trudeau is saying we've got to slow this down so the economy can catch up. It's like, it's not going to catch up at these levels. These levels were always too high. You know, somehow managed to double it for a period of years, and you think going back ticking back a touch is going to fix? It's not.
No,
like
it's reached critical mass at this point.
Yeah,
I saw a chart that basically was showing that within 10 years, non-native born people in Canada will outnumber native born people in Canada.
Yeah. Like, we're a large landmass at a small population.
Right.
And we're well over, we went from 36 odd before COVID to we're at like 42.
What I meant to say by that is that the people the new immigrants, the new people who are here will have children that will outnumber the children of existing Canadian citizens. Which means that the next generation of kids is going to be mainly from foreign families, people who are foreign to Canada. You guys ever heard of Lowy 86 and Serpensa? China Fact Chasers channel. Good stuff. No, I've not. Good to know.
I've not. But yeah, we'll see what they're about. But
sorry, I derailed you there, man. I'm sorry. I started talking about Wycliffe. You wanted to share something.
No, I did. Vivek.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You are the fucking, yeah. But no,
you're the fucking.
But I mean, forget the children of them. I think if they keep at it the way they've been doing it, like, there's this idea that we have 1 million people a year, but that's just straight up immigration. There's also the 1 million people a year that come in on temporary foreign worker visas and temporary student visas that are given an automatic path, and they number 1 million as well. Right. So it's literally 2 million people a year rolling over into that's 20 million in 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? How many of the 36 from 5 years ago were already foreign-born people? I'm not sure.
Well,
so 20 million plus whatever that number was. It's not that hard to suddenly be half of people weren't fucking born here.
Yeah. This is the idea is that basically these people will come to Canada. They will decide that the Canadian way of life is much better than their way of life back in India or Pakistan or wherever. And they will adopt Canadian culture, but they don't. They ghettoized.
Well, no, especially when our leader has said there's no Canadian culture.
Well,
We're
there's
a
that.
post-national society with no
Yeah, but you know
culture.
what I mean? For all the harm that he's caused, Trudeau is a blip. Pierre Poilievre's not much better, but Trudeau is a blip in terms of like his undermining of Canadian culture. I think deep down inside, most Canadians do understand we have a culture and it is worth saving. And I think this, you know, when I talked about before about the new era being ushered in by a Trump presidency, a second Trump term, and how Western civilization is going to change for the better under him. Uh, I have a feeling that you're going to see a shift in not just the United States, but in most of Western civilization. In the places where you got like Georgia Filoni, is that her name Filoni or Maloney?
Maloney.
Maloney. Georgia Maloney, Javier Milei, Victor Orban, these countries where they're like, yeah, you know what? We got shit worth preserving here and we're going to do it. And we're going to adopt practices and policies that mean that Western civilization survives. And I think it'll happen in Canada as well, provided we get the right leader in. And I think Poilievre, whether or not he actually feels that way or believes that way, I think he's going to find himself sort of forced in that direction by the writing on the wall when he sees the rest of Western civilization has done a 180 and said, no, it's now time to start investing in Canadians and re-embracing our values and actually standing up for what it means to be a member of Western civilization and pushing back against the muddying and the dilution of this great culture. He'll get on board because he'll be forced to, because much like the conservatives in Canada, they are really all about which way are the political winds blowing. Okay, we'll go that way. And if that's the way the world is going, and if that's the way the United States is pressuring Western civilization to adopt, Poilievre or whoever might be the conservative leader during this transitional period is going to be forced into that direction. That's my point of view.
Except the way we're going now, by the time they catch up, if that's the case, it may well be far too late.
It may be, but again,
right? You're not going to be able to start deporting 20 million foreigners.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: we won't get into the mass deportation thing that like the United States has, because they have a truly bad situation when it comes to illegal immigration. Our immigrants that have come here, our temporary workers have come here. They've been largely done it the right way. They applied for status and they stayed, and sometimes they overstayed. But Canada's not the same way. We're not going to just deport them all. What we're going to do is we're going to, like I said, my thought is, this is my anticipation and probably my hope, it might be wishful thinking, with the embracing of adopting our Western values and shoring up our Western values, we're going to put upon them the expectation that you can live here, but you are going to adopt our way of life. Now, that doesn't mean that Sikhs can't wear their fucking turbans, but it will mean that Sikhs have to treat non-Sikhs respectfully and act in a way that other Canadians act towards one another.
Except by the time they start trying to do that, it will be too late, right?
Well, but people can be changed. People can be convinced to change. There will be always there was going to be people who resist and people who say, no, fuck you, I'm Sikh till the day I die. And I'll live the way I want to live.
Sure.
But there are going to the next generation will be, yeah, Canada's not bad. We should embrace what Canada's got.
Except the next generation is going to be look at what happened in Birmingham, right? Well, like the Islamic pockets throughout London, right, and surrounding burbs,
right,
and cities, right? Like it was too easy and too fast that nobody was motivated. I don't know how, like, what your situation is, but I work around and with a lot of immigrants.
Yeah.
And they openly tell me, yeah, no, I don't care about your country. I'm just here to get money. And I'm going to get my permanent residence and then my citizenship.
And then it's like my family over.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. No intention of caring about this country at all.
Okay. Now, you're probably right. There are a good number of those people. Now, in the case of Birmingham in the UK, that's a different matter altogether, because the UK was invaded, and the invasion was abetted by the government, by Muslims, for the express purpose of destroying the UK and turning it into an extension of the caliphate. So the people there, they have an agenda. The people who came in and said, this is a Muslim, this is a Sharia law zone, you can't bring alcohol in here. This is a Sharia law zone, women have to be covered up. And these areas in Birmingham, these areas of the UK that became ghettos of, of Saudi Arabia, ghettos of Iran, ghettos of Iraq, these places, they were abetted, and they were basically embraced by the powers that be in the UK. In Canada, I think we still have the illusion that people will come here for a better way of life, but and they'll adopt the Canadian way of life. And I think if we embrace the idea that we expect you to now, it's not just a matter of we hope you do, but we expect you to. I think that Sikhs, Hindus, Punjabis are much more amenable to that kind of persuasion. Case in point, when Canada Man and you went to Queen's Park, right?
Yeah.
And on Canada Day, and you had all of these people there who were not native to Canada. You could tell they weren't native to Canada, but they were celebrating Canada, and they wanted to take their picture with Canada Man. There are people who do see value in living in Canada. There are people who do want to raise their children in Canada because they like what Canada means. So, and I'm saying that if Native Canadians and the powers that be, like the political class, can say, yes, this is our new way forward, and this will be the expectation of immigrants, and this will be the expectation of newcomers to Canada, then I think you could see a cultural shift even in these newcomers. Maybe. But again, I'm hopeful. Might be wishful thinking.
My fear is that it is too late, because I mean, I'm sure you've seen the videos of, like, was it Yonge and Dundas Square, where the Muslim men pour out into the street, lay out their carpets, and block up the roads, to do their prayers, right? The pro-Palestine protests, and
they did that,
right? It's starting, and no one is doing anything right now to stop. I'm sorry, I got to go back to my history with the backyard garden, right? You nip it in the bud. That's not a metaphor. You have to stop it as soon as it starts, or you're going to be overrun with weeds.
I agree. We should. Somebody should. In the UK,
but here they're cultivating the weeds.
I know. In the United Kingdom, in the UK, they had the reason for that was they had a mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, who's fully on board with this caliphate takeover of Great Britain. Right? In Ontario, we have what's his name? Ford, who is a puppet of the federal government, who is an opportunist and is a piece of shit politician like them all. We need principled politicians in power who are willing to stand up for what it means to be Canada. And my hope is that we ultimately will elect those types of people. Because again, it comes back to Trump. Trump will point the way forward for the reemergence and the return to a golden age of Western civilization. That's the hope. And that countries like Canada, Australia, Western countries who are nations of the cross, who ostensibly were founded under Christian principles, they are going to be dragged along and will be forced to sort of adopt this point of view. Just like the neoliberal world order dominated Western civilization for the last 50, 60 years, right? This new world order will be one that will be more along the lines of, no, what we have in the West is good. You're going to embrace these things. And if you don't embrace these things, you can't deal with the West. Fuck off. Get out. We won't have you. We won't do business with you. We will do it all ourselves. And we'll trade amongst ourselves. And we'll, entertain one another. We don't want to have anything to do with you if you're not going to adopt our values, if you're not going to respect our civilization. Fuck you. And I think that the Western civilizations, the nations of the cross, as it were, will ultimately come on board and say, yeah, that's the way to go. Again, wishful thinking. This is what I hope for.
Yeah, I mean, like if that shift begins to happen in the US, it's happening in places in Europe now. I think Canada will be left behind, right? Like,
or they'll have to embrace it, and they may be too slow to take it up. You're right; they may be too slow to take it up. In which case, Canada will turn into a shithole, and it'll be a lot harder to go back from that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's you, me, Wycliffe, right?
Sorry.
There's you, me, Wycliffe, Mackenzie, Rance, Derek.
And Clinton. Have you seen Clinton Jaws? Have you ever watched Clinton Jaws?
No.
Clinton Jaws is great. He's another Canadian YouTuber.
YouTube suppresses that shit, and it's hard for me to find any of it.
I'll send you a link to Clinton Jaws. He's good. He's good.
Like I don't get notifications from your video. Right?
Yeah, I know. Fuck. He's a former RCMP cop. But he's good. He's got a really good voice. He's got a good radio voice.
Mike over at Forgotten Canadians. I don't see his videos pop up either. Maybe he stopped. Maybe just.
Same with
Marty. Yeah, Marty.
Yeah. You know who I see? You know who I see? Mr. Sunshine Baby. And what's his name? Clyde Do Something. Because I think they're approved. I think they're approved YouTube dissident political commentary.
Controlled opposition.
Yes, they are controlled opposition. I think they are. I mean, that being said, I think Mr. Sunshine Baby is a legit
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, he's a Canadian YouTuber. He's legit, and the pleb reporter, they're legit critics of the government, and they are legit. We like the conservatives more than we like the liberals. However, I think they've been given a pass because their stuff is so fucking milquetoast and palatable.
Plus, I still have a standing disinformation strike on my channel for saying something that a virologist said during COVID. He said it on the radio, broadcasted publicly. It was accepted as fact, and I repeated it, and I have a standing disinformation strike.
That's terrible.
It cannot be removed.
No. That's crazy. What was I going to say? Fuck.
It's okay. We can evac to Texas and eat salsa and read Six's books until the comet hits. Thank you, Six.
There we go. Perfect.
I hope that's a standing invite. It's going to take me a while, but I'll get down there.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Texas at some point too.
Convert everything to cash, buy one of those camper trailers, and just fucking disappear into the United States.
That's the thing. That's the thing about Clinton Jaws. He records his shit from a motorhome. Like you can tell when he's doing his videos, he's in a fucking motorhome. He's sitting at the little settee, fucking kitchen table, dining room table that turns into a fucking extra bed. He's sitting there. You can see the motorhome fridge behind him, and it goes back into like the bedroom. I'm like, this is awesome. The guy's doing his shit from a motorhome. That's fucking great.
Nomad
yeah,
lifestyle.
I'd love to do that. I'd also like to go to Texas because there's a place near Odessa called Stilt Beast Studios, and they do a lot of monster makeup and monster masks and stuff like that. And They have a monster mask boot camp where you go there for a weekend and you build a mold, you design your mask, you cast it, you paint it, and you come away with it with a full on, professionally made monster mask. And I'm like, fuck, I really love to do that because I always had a real interest in special effects makeup and stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I would take a fucking 5-day trip to go for the weekend and to like near Odessa and study that shit. That would be fun. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
But you know what? And then I think about it, I'm like, fuck, do I need to go to Texas to do that? I'm sure I could do it in Toronto. But something about going on a trip for a weekend.
But then while you're there, you just stay and live in Odessa.
Yeah. Don't come back.
The Odessa Jackalopes, baby.
The Odessa Jackalopes?
Yeah.
You do hockey in Texas? How'd they get the ice?
A little bit.
It's so fucking hot down there. How do they get the ice?
And I could always get my sister to visit if I lived in Odessa because we're only about a 4-hour drive outside of Roswell, right? So we can make a day trip.
Oh, is she in New Mexico?
What's that?
Your sister's in New Mexico?
No, she loves aliens.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Or she can come visit me, and then we day trip to Roswell, right?
The wife and I went to the RV show in Toronto last weekend.
Oh yeah,
because I'm on this RV kick. I don't know why I get into these things. And
nomad
I'm like,
lifestyle.
fuck, you know what? I want to like. I keep saying we should buy an RV. Just let's buy an RV and we'll go fucking tour across North America for like 3 months. And she's like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to buy one. And I'm like, all right, let's see if we can rent one and do like a month-long trip across Canada. Because I would love to just do that. I would love to just like you saw the movie Paul, right? With fucking
Yeah, it was terrible, but I don't really remember much. I remember not enjoying it. That's all.
yeah, probably because Seth Rogen's voice can get on your nerves. Um, but Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, they're
Yeah.
these two sci-fi enthusiasts who love aliens and shit. And they go to America, they rent an RV, and they tour all across the UFO hotspots and go to a comic book sci-fi convention kind of thing. Anyway, I'm like, that would be so much fun just to get like I wanted to do there like in the United States, the haunt industry is like a big thing. Like people make these fucking haunted houses, and they're particularly big in the month of October, right?
Hmm.
But some of them have year-round haunts, and they're like in like the middle of fucking nowhere in some place in Arizona or North Carolina or wherever, and they're just like these little back road places where they've grabbed a hunk of property or they've grabbed an old fucking factory and they've turned it into a haunt that you walk through and you get scared and shit. I'm like,
Hmm.
fuck, you know what? I'd love to just get an RV for the month of October and just go all over the United States to all these different haunts and just fucking visit them. I think that'd be so much fun.
So I had a similar. Well, I mean, the similarities end at the long, long road trip. But the long, long road trip idea where you need like a solid 4 to 6 weeks, maybe more, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe rent an RV, and then I would just drive west through Canada till I
Yeah.
hit ocean,
There you go.
and then I would turn north until I ran out of roads, and then I would come back, staying as north as possible to see as much of the country as I could, right? And with you need like 4 to 6 weeks so that you can stop places and talk to
Yeah.
people and like
Yeah. Yeah.
take in small spots. Like I don't remember when the last time I was in Wawa, you know, like
Yeah. So Pox is saying he can give me a list of ones to hit. Yeah. You know, it's weird. And it's a uniquely American phenomena. The haunt circuit, these places that have year-round
yeah,
haunts or they do haunts in the month of October. That's what this place, Stilt V Studios in Odessa, or out just outside of Odessa, uh, they do haunts. Like they make fixtures and they make masks and they make shit for haunts nearby, and they
yeah.
send it there and they do their own haunt at a place near not far from them as well. I'm like, that sounds like so much fun. El Paso is closer to Los Angeles than it is to Houston. Isn't that funny? The city in the same state. That's so funny. Well, Texas is so fucking big, though, right? It's gigantic.
We have the same problem in Ontario, right? That like I'm in Toronto. I had to drive to Kenora, 22 hours, and it's 2 hours, it's 22 hours to get to Kenora from Toronto, right?
No shit, eh?
Oh yeah. Ontario's huge.
Yeah,
And but they're 2 hours outside of the capital city of the next province.
that's
Right? Like
well. I mean, like, okay, so Thunder Bay from here is like 18 hours.
yeah.
It's in Ontario, but it takes you 18 hours to
Yeah.
fucking get there.
No, yeah, I drove 22 hours west and didn't leave the province, right? This reminds me of the time Pox had said he didn't understand. He didn't know about Canada. And he's like, hey, you're in Ontario, right? Yeah, why? Maybe you could help out my buddy from Ontario. What do you mean? Well, he needs someone to help him pick up this computer or something. I was like, well, where in Ontario? He's like, Sudbury. I'm like,
Sudbury,
that's a 9 hour round trip. What?
yeah,
What are you talking about? It's like,
yeah. Sudbury's far
yeah, it's like, it's not
from
Texas
Toronto.
size,
It's yeah, Toronto's
but it
far. Like,
may as well be Texas sized.
yeah, I keep joking with Melina. I'm like, hey, we should like, because I periodically I'll go look for rural land in Ontario. And I'd love to go out to Nova Scotia and live there, like find some rural land and build a little plot, whatever. And I'm like, fuck, we got to stay in Ontario. And I'm like, oh, Cochrane, land is cheap in Cochrane, Ontario. Yeah, it's 22-hour drive, and it's fucking Cochrane. Like, yeah, forget it.
22
No,
hours. Which
Ontario
direction?
is huge. Ontario is gigantic. Like,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, in terms of landmass, it's probably close to Texas in size,
Uh,
if not bigger.
close. I mean, compared to other places in the world, Ontario is 1/6 the size of Europe.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Total land mass of Ontario. 1.076 million square kilometers. Total land mass of Texas in km squared. 695,662 square kilometers. So it's roughly half the size of Ontario. And Texas is fucking huge.
We're bigger than Texas?
Yes, we're
Holy
twice as big as Texas.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was the other way around, that we're like maybe 60% the size of
Me
Texas.
too. I thought, okay, we're close. But no, we're fucking twice. When you look at Ontario, it goes up into the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Places where no one fucking lives. Whereas in Texas, there's a town in just about every corner of it.
Well,
There's a
people
small
live
settlement in just about every corner of it.
people live there, but they live there in numbers of about 200 to 2,000, and there's no roads that go there.
Yeah, you got to get in
So
by airplane.
you fly in or you don't go.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck all winter because the planes won't come in anymore.
No, it's just clear from the land. Yeah. No, Ontario's fucking huge, man. It's huge.
I had a friend.
Clearly huger than you and I thought. I thought.
I still have a friend, but he once lived in a place where if he didn't chop wood every day, he would die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2/3 the size of Alaska. That makes sense. Yeah, Alaska's fucking gigantic too, right?
Yeah. It's the biggest state by far. Yeah.
And this is the thing that drives me nuts about Canada. Like the idea that we don't exploit our natural resources here the way that we should. Like we have the natural resources to be completely self-sufficient in terms of everything: wood, steel, gas, copper, rare earth. Like even if you were to double Canada's population, we still have enough natural resources to do everything we need to do here for ourselves. We could be an entirely insulated, self-sufficient country, even with the population we have, just by the fact that we have the resources to provide everything we need.
Not to mention the gold, silver, and diamonds.
Exactly. But
it's
we have stupid politicians that work on a stupid principle that we only need to worry about the people in 50 square blocks of land on this giant landmass. So that's Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. Those are the only people that fucking matter. Or Victoria, I guess I should say. But yeah, no, it's crazy. Like we should be exploiting the shit out of our natural resources.
Oh yeah.
Because we have enough here, we'll never go through them. We could supply all the fucking copper and nickel to the planet, and we'd still never go through all the copper and nickel. Well, maybe not. But you know what I'm saying? Like we have an abundance. We have an abundance of natural resources that we don't need to have. And it makes no sense to me. We have the largest fresh water reserves on the planet. Canada has the largest fresh water reserves on the globe.
Yeah, and that's actually ridiculous. Like it's something stupid, like 2/3 of all the fresh water in the world is in Canada.
And we don't utilize it. We still, it's ridiculous.
Okay, well.
Now, to steel man the argument for why not, I guess. A lot of the shit that we do have isn't very difficult to get to areas. But technology exists to do it. It's just we don't have the will to do it.
No, we have too many fucking regulations and high taxes to do it.
Yep.
That's the major fucking problem. But we're pushing 2.5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've been gabbing through your entire
No. I do, however, I had promised you something earlier. Now I found out what this is. So now all you poor bastards have to find out what this is.
What's up?
I heard of a thing called the Alabama Hot Pocket. Yes, this is a sex thing, and yes, it's as disgusting as it sounds. You see, the Alabama Hot Pocket involves taking a shit in her vagina and then fucking it.
Oh. Why is it the Alabama Hot Pocket?
I don't fucking know.
Is
Why
because
is it a Cleveland steamer? I
Alabama's
don't
a
fucking
shitty
know.
place? Alabama's nasty? Is that it? Like,
I don't know.
that's fucking nasty.
Hey, I comprehend these man-made horrors just fine. Maybe it's a skill
Like,
issue.
okay, but here's the thing. You also work in the sex industry. When you hear about a Colombian necktie, there's a reason why it's called the Colombian necktie, because it was done in Colombia. I have a hard time imagining that kind of shit gets done in Alabama. Alabama seems to be like a God-fearing state where they don't put up with that kind of nastiness. That seems to me like a Sacramento hot pocket. I could see that happening in Sacramento.
Yeah, I guess like they just had to add tie someplace to it because like just calling it a hot pocket doesn't
No,
differentiate it from regular hot pockets.
never
No.
banged a chick from Alabama, wouldn't know. Well, you know what? Probably a good thing because her vagina might be full of shit from the previous person. It's nasty. It's fucking nasty. Can you imagine like the kind of
No.
like think of how
No.
unsanitary it is? Like,
No, I'm not gonna think about it.
oh, god damn. Like, you're just asking for like all manner of yeast infection. Did I tell you about the girl I went out with in college? I think I did. I don't know. I went out with a girl in college. I dated her for a few months, actually close to a year. I don't know why I stayed with her as long. She was a terrible racist. She thought anytime she was in public with people who were speaking a language other than English, they were talking about her. And I'm like, they're not talking. They're just talking in the language that's easiest to.
Mhm.
No, it's rude. I'm like, why do you fucking care what they're saying? Anyway, long story short, she was a terrible person. And the only reason I stayed with her is because she was giving me sex. I was having sex with her. Problem was she was a dirty girl. And she used to complain saying, "Oh, I've got yeast infections. I got a yeast infection. I suffer from yeast infections." Because she had an itchy crotch all the time, right? She didn't have yeast infection. She had the clap, and she gave it to me. And I
Oh,
told her,
weird.
"You gave me the clap." She's like, "No, I don't have it. I talked to my doctor. I don't have it. So wherever you got it, it wasn't for me." I'm like, "You're the only chick I've been fucking. The last person I fucked was at a party 3 years ago. So it's you who gave me the clap." Anyway,
I have now been reminded of an even more disgusting story. This again from 4chan. So a girl goes to the doctor because she has some sort of infection, right?
yeah,
Yeasty kind of, discharge and foul
nasty,
smell and all that.
yeah.
And
And
the
you got the
doctor,
clap.
gives her the prescription or whatever, right? Months and months and months later, she comes back
Oh, I
and the
think I
doctor checks the chart and see, oh, it looks like you have this infection again. I'll give you the she says, no, don't worry about it. I stopped taking it and I've had it the whole time. My boyfriend begged me not to take it because he likes the taste.
You like bread. You like fish bread. Is that it? You like fish bread. Fish cakes. Just go to fucking Red Lobster and get some fish cakes. That's
This shit gets
disgusting.
this shit gets dark after the second hour, man. Like this is
Oh, that's nasty. That's so fucking nasty.
I'm not even drinking.
Oh my god. Christ. Did you have other topics tonight? This is a hell of a weave we've been on.
Hey, it's good weave, right? Donald Trump did it. We did it. Yeah. No, I mean, no, there was that
Right.
thing with bro, that's nasty. No, yeah, buddy. There was that thing with Chank. You found the guy?
Yes, I did. You want to watch it?
I
This
don't
is
want to watch the whole thing. We can just put
it's
as long
only
as the guy
it's
talks
only 2 minutes. It's only 2 minutes and 6 seconds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's not what he says. It's nothing to do with what they're saying.
Uh-huh.
Uh, because it's a longer than 2-minute interaction, right? And I've seen a few clips from it, but yeah, if you want to share it,
Yeah, I think this is probably the big point of it. It's been broken down to 2 minutes, probably because this is the
sure.
part where this is probably the part where Chunk got owned, right?
But again, for my purposes, like, see, yeah, they said, oh yeah, this guy, he put Cenk in his place. It's like I didn't hear any of that because I'm looking at something. So none of the things that are said here are important. I'm not going to address any of it.
Is this what we're talking about here? What I'm sharing?
Yep, that's the guy.
Okay, 1 sec. I'm gonna go full screen so you don't see all
Sure.
the extra shit in my feed here. Breep. Okay. And let's play.
Who authorized you to speak on behalf of the Arab children of Gaza? Who authorized you?
You just did. You
You
called me
never
a
been
Palestinian.
there. You don't care.
So am I a
And
Palestinian or
now
am I
you
not?
think you hold the higher moral ground. You don't.
I do.
You're not the savior. You always need a victim in order to pose as the savior. You're not the savior. First, learn how to control yourself. Learn how to control your tongue buds before you try to control the world. It's a big situation in Gaza. All of us are heartbroken for the death of the children of Gaza. All of us. That includes Israel. Israel considers what's happening in Gaza a tragedy. It's a tragedy made up by the terrorists that you sympathize with, that you want to validate and legitimize. Then we will have to deal with the chaos that you create, your emotional being, going all over the place. Who authorized you to speak on the behalf of the Gaza? Nobody did.
You did.
You self-proclaimed, just like Mahmoud Abbas, just like Yasser Arafat, just like all the Palestinians who have been feeding on the pain of the Palestinian children. You are a parasite, a bottom feeder. This is what you are. So before you speak against the prime minister of a democracy and accuse him of being a terrorist, you need to look at yourself in the mirror. You have been supporting Hamas and it's recorded against you for eternity. So don't play the game now that your fight is for the children in Gaza. This is not your fight. You know who's fighting for the children of Gaza? The IDF. That is killing Hamas. That is uprooting Hamas so the children of Gaza can have their freedom after 36 years of slavery. Those are the ones who qualify to speak on the topic, not you sitting in your comfort.
So, yeah. Again, none of the things he said mean anything to me.
It's a diatribe, right?
Even if people are pulling out points and, like arguments, I don't care. Because did you also notice how uncomfortable Cenk looked from 10,000 miles away? It looks like that guy's satellited in, right?
Yeah.
He almost looked scared.
Well, I think Cenk knows that he's full of shit. I think that's why
I don't know if it has anything to do with that.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Well, if you've ever had the misfortune of finding yourself around a bunch of bad people, like an actual gang that engages in like real crime as an organization,
no, I've
and
not.
You'll notice many of them are actually quite jovial and friendly people. And one of those guys looks like that. He moves like that. He's got that facial expression almost all the time and talks like that if he talks at all.
Yeah.
That's their killer.
Yeah.
That's that guy that does 99% of all their killing, right? Sometimes there's like a gunfight and people have to do some gunfighting, but it's like we need to off a person. That's the guy they send to do it.
Because he doesn't care.
He's talking about caring about the children of Gaza. He does not have any value for human life.
No, he's there as a mouthpiece. He's another mouthpiece for Israel.
But as soon as I saw that guy, I knew exactly who he was.
Well, yeah, right? I mean, he's not. This isn't the first time he's spoken. I've seen him on other bits. He is a Arab, and I believe he's a Palestinian Arab who is in support of Israel and their actions against Hamas. Which, hey, let's face it, there's probably plenty of Palestinians who don't like Hamas, right?
Sure.
And would be very happy if they were no longer a thing. So they found a guy who's articulate. They found a guy who can speak, his point of view, or speak a point of view, whether it's his or not. I think it's probably his. I think it's a legit point of view he has, to somebody like Chunk Yogurt, who, quite frankly, is, everything he says he is, which is this, high and mighty moral grandstander sitting in his nice plush offices at the Young Turks studio and talking about how terrible Israel is and how poor Palestinians are suffering. Yeah, Palestinians are suffering and Israelis are suffering, and they wouldn't be suffering if Hamas wasn't a thing, right? But so the guy's not wrong.
Again, you're getting into the content of his talking. It's like none of that means anything to me. What matters to me is I looked at that guy. I was like, "That's a killer." You tell him
he very well might be.
He's a gun. You point him at someone and say, "Kill that." He goes, "Okay," and he doesn't hesitate. He doesn't flinch. It doesn't affect him. Maybe
you
it never did.
You think he's a legit killer more than he's a rhetorical killer, in that he goes on and acts as a vicious mouthpiece, a vicious Arab mouthpiece on behalf of Israel.
The mouthpiece is secondary to his as killing people when told to do so, right? Like, yeah.
Maybe he's an Arab IDF asset.
Yeah, and I can't put my finger on the specifics. I get that irk, and I know it, and I've had the misfortune of being able to confirm it at certain times. So yes, when I get that feeling just by looking at a person, I don't doubt my instinct.
Yeah, I just, from my point of view, it's just like, okay, cool. You know what? I don't like chunky yogurt. I think this guy, I think people in the West would do well to just say, you know what? I'm not going to speak about it because I don't know shit from Shinola about it, because I only know things that I'm told from people who all have agendas, because I'm not there, right? I don't know if there's any Western news people, like news gatherers, who are actually over there in Israel covering what's going on, and in Gaza covering what's going on. I don't know if that's the case, because I certainly don't see any news about it. All I see is this happened in Israel, this happened in Gaza, Israel did this, people are pressuring Israel to do a ceasefire, blah, 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 blah. That's all I see. I don't see, this is, Frank Frankelstein, and I'm here in Gaza where, a bomb just went off next to this preschool and there's lots of bodies. Like, I don't see any of that shit going on. All the only information, the only imagery we're getting are from the sources who have an agenda. Is what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah, it's only the propaganda survives.
But yeah, there's no good actors in this whole thing.
No.
And I mean, going back to Trump, how would Trump put an end to it? Well, I don't know. I have a feeling his hands are going to be tied. If he comes into, like,
it's
notice
right?
When he talks about the conflict that's currently going on in the world, he says that he can end the thing between Ukraine and Russia while he's president-elect.
Yeah.
And he very well might be able to, right? But you notice when he talks about Israel and Gaza, he says it would never have happened if I was in power. If I was president, it would never have happened. But he doesn't say how he would resolve it, because I think he's kind of got to lay his hands off it. He's got to, like, fuck, man, we got to let Israel do their shit, because the United States is too intrinsically linked with Israel, and we have this, like, death pact with one another, and we're never gonna go against Israel. Now, the Democrats and Biden might say something like, we really urge Benjamin Netanyahu to consider a ceasefire, but they're never going to put any fucking pressure on him.
From what I understood of what he was saying was, you're not going to get Israel to the table. You're not going to get Iran to the table, right? Like, there are other Middle East peace agreements that he helped broker.
Yeah.
But this one was a non-starter. The only thing he could do was choke Iran. if Iran doesn't have the money to fund the
Yes.
conflict, then Israel doesn't have an excuse
But the problem is that
to engage in conflict. So there's no conflict. But now
Right.
it's too late because it's
yeah,
gone on.
the horse has left the barn because
Yeah.
Biden gave him shit tons of fucking money
Yeah.
and said, "Go ahead, have at it." And Biden also left a shit ton of fucking military equipment in Afghanistan, and I have
Yeah.
no doubt that the Taliban would be happy to give some of that shit to Iran and happy to work with Iran. There's going to be, a multi-nation conflict in the Middle East. It already is, but it's going to be a full-on hot war between multiple nations in the Middle East, and we're not even going to know half of what's going on because, again, we're only going to get it from the propagandists on both sides. So, and the United States, they kind of have to stay hands off. They can supply they can supply Israel with all the weapons and support they want, but they can't say, all right, boots on the ground, troops in fucking Gaza, we're gonna go take out Hamas. Nope, that's Israel's fight, and they want to have that fucking fight.
But you know what the Samson option is, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So if they don't, there's a risk that Israel goes Samson option.
Well,
especially if they think that suddenly they're losing ground, right?
That's the thing. Like, they just have to have it. They just have to have the belief that when push comes to shove, the United States will back them. And I think at this point, and especially if Trump gets into power, I think Benjamin Netanyahu absolutely has that idea in his mind that, yep, Trump's got my back. Because Trump's a friend of Israel. We know that. Trump's got his back. So Israel has carte blanche to do what they're going to do. And the fact is, Israel's going to prosecute this war the way they want. That's all there's to, and they'll go to war with whoever the fuck they want to, because they've got the technology and they've got the weapons to do it. Now, are they going to be successful? Are they going to win? Win is a relative term. I have a feeling that they could cause Iran to collapse through conflict, through the external conflict between the two nations, plus what they could do with their agents to undermine Iran's government, all happening at the same time. I think Iran could collapse, and the Ayatollahs will be out of power at one point. I think that would happen.
Well,
I don't know what would happen in Lebanon. I don't know what would happen in the other countries associated with it. I think Iran could collapse by full-scale conflict with Israel.
Well, I mean, one of the rumors I heard already was that Israel sent like dozens of bombers over Iran.
Yeah.
Dropped a bunch of bombs and turned around to refuel, and they met no resistance. There was no counter air force. There wasn't even like ground to air defenses.
No.
So that's, I mean, I don't know what that means ultimately, right? But we'll see if they stop.
I think they'll stop when it's clear that their enemies can't continue to prosecute their side of the war. I think it was what Hamas did in their launch on October 7th. They may have seen it as a victory for Palestine, but I think all in all, the enemies of Israel probably did not like what happened. Like, Iran was not a fan of what happened because they knew that if Israel decided they wanted to really go all out, go whole fucking hog, so to speak, it's going to be a hell of a fucking fight, and it's going to be difficult for them. And not just because they've got the U.S. support, but Israel's got a very powerful military in and of itself.
Yeah.
And it's high tech. It's not like it's fucking, decades old like Iran necessarily has. But Iran also has the support of Russia, right? Iran,
sure,
like not vocal support. Russia's come out and said this conflict is going to be utter chaos, but they haven't said we are full-throatedly supporting Iran in this conflict. They've just said, look, this is fucking terrible what's going on, and it needs to end.
Like, we'll still sell you our old MiGs.
Sure. Yeah. Hey,
but don't.
that's just it. They're like, look, we're not going to turn away fucking money. We're trying to set up a new fucking monetary system here. BRICS needs to thrive, man. So, but yeah, no, I think, I don't know. I think it's going to be a real ugly time of things. I would hope that if Trump gets into power and he can bring a resolution to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, I would hope that he attempts to sort of overplay things and appeal to Vladimir Putin's sense of, let's hope, decency. I don't know how decent Vladimir Putin is, and says, look, you know what? Not only is this thing going to end and you're going to get what you want, and Ukraine's going to be put up by the woodshed, and they're just going to have to fucking suck it up with their current situation. But I think you need to put some pressure on Iran to pull back and let Israel basically stop interfering with Israel's prosecution of the war in Gaza.
Well, again, I just hope,
if I were to guess Trump would do that, I would guess that Trump would do that.
I just hope everybody in the region ultimately gets what they want. So we're gonna call it.
I'm sorry, man. I've been dominating your stream all goddamn night.
No.
I haven't been able to shut up, and I'm not even high. Can you imagine if I was high?
Can you imagine if I was drinking and you were high? Holy shit!
Why aren't you drinking? Are you off the?
I don't have to explain myself to you.
No, you normally drink. Are you off the hooch tonight?
Sometimes.
Oh, okay. Sometimes you don't drink.
Yeah, depends. Yeah. But that's a wrap. Everyone who stuck it out, thanks for sticking it out. If you missed it, as a bunch of people just jumped in right at the end here. If you missed it, it's recorded on YouTube. You can just go back and watch it. Watch it with your morning coffee tomorrow. So good night, everyone. We'll see you on Craig's channel next week.
God willing, yes.
Ammunition, link in the description. And I'm hitting the buttons. Good night, everyone.
Good night, all.
Any last words?
No.
Hail Sigmar. I pressed